Okay, folks, we are live. Me and Cam made the same mistake that we literally always make before these, where we had a bunch of conversations that should have been recorded.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's like a good 5-10 minutes before while we're getting set up where there's a lot of convo going on. But we ended up talking about arcades,
yes.
something that I'm assuming a lot of people just, at least from our generation down, have just never experienced.
Yeah. I mean, out at the Columbia Mall, near where I live,
Hmm,
recently they opened this place called the Main Event, which is like an arcade.
interesting.
And they did serve beer for a while, but they stopped because they were selling it to
Oh,
underage kids.
oh,
Yeah, it was pretty.
no.
It was pretty cool for a little bit. But now it's now you got to sneak in liquor to get drunk.
Yeah, like barcades, I feel like is a West Coast thing. It's not something that's really proliferated in the East Coast.
Which I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be popular in the East Coast.
As far as like regional culture goes, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't stick here, but did there.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe the more hipsters. Who knows?
and also, I mean, I think like there's the stereotype of, you ask a person from the East Coast what they do and they tell you their job title. You ask a
Yeah,
person from the West Coast what they do and they tell you their hobby.
yeah.
So maybe, but still, it's like we like to relax. I'm from the East Coast. I went out to Las Vegas. I hit a arcade and I loved it. I was drunk while playing a video game from the '80s.
Dude, that's been my dream for Dave and Buster's ever since I was I guess like a middle schooler. Get
What?
trashed at a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah,
It's got to be awesome.
it was pretty great. Me and Cooper um, ended up playing UFC 14, and we both made characters. Mine had a
Wait, they had like a console set up as well,
yeah, they had yeah. So you
not
could
just arcade machines.
they had so they had like a bunch of old arcade machines,
Okay.
but then there were a bunch of TVs and like really nice lounge chairs you could sit in and like drink while you played. Like they had Cyberpunk. Like it was video games right up to the modern day,
Whoa,
and
what was it running on?
it was running on PS4, so I
Okay.
don't know that it would have been that great.
Still,
Still,
it's access to something not a lot of people had the chance to play because they thought it was broken.
and when you came in, you got a table, and the tables all have like older generation consoles, and they asked us like
Oh.
what console table do we want, which at first confused us.
Whoa,
They were
that's
like,
that's awesome.
and they will have like
Get
TVs.
seated by your console generation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And we were like, well, okay, I guess we all like Smash, so we were like, okay, we want to play the original Smash, so can we get a GameCube table? And or I guess that is, yeah, that's the original Smash was on GameCube. Was that N64?
I think N64 was the
Oh,
original.
well, we asked for GameCube because we wanted to. Oh, it was
You guys playing Melee?
yeah, Melee that was on the GameCube.
Oh yeah.
So we got the N64 table, but you didn't have to stay there. It's like you just like order pizza, and while you ate pizza or whatever, you could play the game,
Nice.
and then you just wander around this bar and play arcade games or modern video games.
Dude, those have to be the greasiest controllers of all time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, they do. But ever since I went to that in Las Vegas, I was like, I need to open this here.
Dude, it's a great idea,
Yeah.
honestly.
You'd have to do it near DC because Baltimore, there's not enough population near Baltimore, to support that. But Washington, you could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would actually take off. Though, I guess it's been a long time since I've been to an arcade. I honestly don't even remember the last time.
Wow, really?
Maybe going to Dave and Buster's on a dorm trip back in high school.
Okay,
But
okay.
that's about it.
Dave and Buster's though is a fuck ton of fun.
Yeah. Well, tell me, what are some of your favorite arcade games? What's your go-to when you got the coins?
Well, actually, when I was there, I got obsessed with this game called I want to say it was like Cyberball.
Okay.
It was a weird version of futuristic football
Oh, weird.
where like the ball would heat up and like so you had like a certain number of downs and you had to get first downs to cool the ball down.
Whoa. Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
and if you didn't, it would blow up and kill the robots on your team.
Oh, I've heard of Blood Bowl, which is like a turn-based football game. Uh,
Really?
yeah, this is a pretty popular game out there. I see it sells for pretty high amount. Apparently, it's popular. I was like, I don't know though. After you explained to me how you see football a couple of months ago, how it is very strategic, the whole idea of a turn-based football game could work.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
football
definitely
is turn-based. It's down-based, right?
it's down based, but both teams play in the same turn. It is already
Yeah, it's
you're
true.
you're
That
right
is
that
true.
it is already turn based though. You know, because I could see like a because I want to I'm now curious how that works. It's called Blood Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, Blood Bowl, I
Okay,
think.
I gotta check that out because I'm curious about how that works. Because it's like
It's tight. It's like goblins versus knights,
oh
but it's still football.
That's
You gotta check it out. It seems
I'm
interesting.
I'm going to check that out. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, it's like the way I look at football is like it's a game of strategy.
because I could see a turn-based football game the same way I could see like a like D&D for baseball, where you roll to get a certain number for the hit, and if it's too low, it's like a it's I'm blanking on baseball terms.
Strike.
Nah, well, yeah, like a strike, or what do you call it when it just goes off to the side?
Oh, a ball.
Yeah, like a ball.
Oh
Or
yeah,
something
like
like that.
the pitcher lows roll and
Yeah, and like
rolls low.
rolling a natural 20, a crit would be your home run.
Yeah,
Or
or if you're
grand
if you're the
slam,
batter.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I could absolutely see that. Yeah, D&D is like an accurate
How
comparison.
nerdy is that, dude? Baseball statistics versus plus D&D.
See, now I wanna find a nerdy way to explain like every sport. It's like we got
There's a market, dude.
yeah, tabletop games is baseball, strategy games is football.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like what would basketball and hockey be?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because hockey is the sport that has a position that's just supposed to beat the living hell out of somebody. How do I make that nerdy?
Yeah, that's true. It'd be hard to translate those ones. I think I've seen like a lacrosse video game before, but it was like live action, like 2K or FIFA.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm actually surprised they make one for lacrosse.
Yeah, I mean it's not probably not very big. Did
Yeah, I
you know
imagine.
they used to make paintball games?
I do, which doesn't make any sense because the whole fun of paintball is the whole fun of paintball is I can shoot my friends
Yeah,
and without consequences. And in a video game, I can shoot my friends without consequences. Why would I play a paintball video game?
Why not just play Modern Warfare at that point?
Yeah, it's like I can already shoot my friends without consequences.
It did have interesting mechanics, I remember. Like, there was a cheating mechanic where if you got shot, it would give you, like, a quick time event to wipe off the paint.
Wait, really?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. That's
like-
actually that's a neat mechanic to put in there because you can't put that in, like, Battlefield.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe not my thing.
I
Dude,
don't-
I miss the PS2 era. What was that, the 6th console generation? 7th?
So the newest one is the 9th.
So that would be the 7th?
So actually, PlayStation works well because 5th is current. So 8th would be 4. 7th would be 3. So 2 would be 6. You were right.
Okay,
You were on the money.
yeah, sixth generation games. Like ATV Off-Road Fury or SSX3, the snowboarding game.
Mhm.
The gameplay was so-so. It was pretty fun. But the soundtracks, my God, dude, so good.
See, I was
so good.
I was a pleb in that generation. Actually, no, I'm not going to call myself a pleb because it was a great console, even though it didn't sell well. I had a GameCube.
Okay.
I love-
there were some smash hits on GameCube.
No, yeah, it was like it's considered to be one of the worst Nintendo consoles, which really speaks to how
Wait,
good Nintendo is.
really?
Not as bad as the Wii U,
Well, yeah.
but I mean, yeah, no, it sold very poorly. It sold
Huh.
really bad.
Maybe it was just because I had a bunch of friends who played GameCube, but they all went over to like one person's house who had the GameCube and a bunch of controllers.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it.
Yeah,
For every 4 people playing, there's one person who owns it, like Netflix.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You ever see that College Humor skit? This is a tangent, but you ever seen that College Humor skit about there's a bunch of people that are calling somebody for. Like, one guy calls someone and asks them what the Netflix password is, so they'll get back to him. So he calls another guy and asks what the Netflix password is, and they keep going and going and going until they get to, like, the president.
that's nice.
The only guy who has the Netflix password.
That's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
Dude, I heard Netflix is going to start cracking down on that soon.
They need to if they're going to make money.
Yeah, I wonder what their profit margin's looking like right now.
Honestly, I don't know. That's a market I know nothing about, which is, like, I don't know everything about every market, but I know.
Well, they tend to hold their cards pretty close to the chest.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. They probably do.
Tend not to
You know,
reveal those numbers.
But I can't imagine what are the supply lines like for that kind of market, you know?
Yeah, because you have digital product dispersed to millions and millions of people.
But you have to pay for the product, you know?
Yeah,
Or the rights. The rights to the product.
Yeah, well, yeah, digital rights management is we've had like a good 20 years of digital rights management lawsuits and whatnot. So it's interesting to see how that's coming out. Because there was that whole era of like heavy DRM for PC games. Remember that back during like 2014,
Yeah.
2015?
Yeah.
Where they're bringing in Denuvo, was it called? And a whole bunch of other really, really crappy DRM software.
Well, do you remember, like, it was a brief period of time, but when YouTube just went, they just took a shotgun for copyright infringement.
Oh.
They would just burn your channel if you were caught for it, and they had
yeah.
no idea who was caught for it.
Yeah, because for the longest time, you could put basically anything on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, there was like a 5-year span, like the early Wild West of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, you could just watch whole TV shows on YouTube.
Yeah,
fuck a Netflix subscription.
Which I still find from time to time. I'll find, like, full episodes of Family Guy or like, streams. Oh, no, here's an example I saw last night. There was someone who made an entire compilation of Total Drama Island. You remember that cartoon from Cartoon Network? It's
Great
like a
cartoon.
9.5-hour show, and the entire thing is on YouTube.
Wait, like the entire, like, first season?
All of it. And the uncensored cut, too, from the Canadian airing.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize there was an uncensored cut.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. See, okay, because I watch a lot of, like, British TV. I get it all through YouTube.
Yeah.
And, like their channel's just devoted to, like, posting, like, they post QI or whatever. I really hope that this podcast doesn't get them taken down. But, like, I think the reason why it hasn't been taken down yet at all is because in the UK, you pay a tax in order to watch BBC. There's like a television tax.
Yeah.
Right? It's a public service, which is why their ad restrictions are so strict. It's if you watch any British television, if they mention a brand name, like let's say they say Tide, it's like, oh, well, we want to let you know that there are other laundry detergent alternatives available on the market. They always have to say shit like that. Yeah.
Really?
If they mention a brand, they have to tell you that there are other options for whatever service.
Why?
Because it's publicly funded. And so I think that the reason why it's on YouTube and nobody takes it down is because it's publicly funded. It's a public good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is, from an American perspective, where like there's blatant advertising in television,
big time.
You know, it's like that's so weird. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think last time I was over here, we were talking about how. Well, we didn't talk about it on the podcast, did we? Where there was like advertisements.
That
medicine. Did we talk about it on the pod?
See, that's the problem with us having our conversation. We need to start setting up in complete silence and like not acknowledge each other because we just have conversations.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, the whole point was that it's very odd to me that like the commercials for medicines from pharmaceutical companies tell you to ask your doctor about the medicine. That's weird. You should present your symptoms to the doctor, and the doctor tells you what's right based on your symptoms.
Usually the doctor tells you about your medicine because he went to medical school, and I didn't.
But they want you to ask your doctor about a specific brand. That's odd to me.
Yeah. You know, it's very... And it's also, I find the entire idea of, like, brand name medication to be weird.
Yeah.
Because, like the generic stuff is the same drug.
Yeah.
It's not like the brand does it better. And it's the same shape at the molecular structure, and the shape is what makes it better.
Certainly come to bite them in the ass later. Like Bayer, the producers of heroin,
yeah. Or Bayer, the producers of oxycodone, or Bayer, the producers of Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Which every time they make a new opioid, they always say, well, this one is non-habit forming, and they're never non-habit forming.
In the early 1900s, heroin was being sold as something to curb your cocaine use, which was also prescribed by a doctor at the time.
See, I feel like, you know, well, yes, yeah.
It's just they were encouraging people to speedball.
See, I was about to say, it's like, I wonder if it would be like when I first took up vaping and to quit cigarettes, where I just would vape inside and smoke cigarettes outside.
Damn.
It's like, that must have been what it was like with cocaine. It's like, what if I mix the two?
Yeah, there was probably a lot of ODs that they didn't know how to diagnose back then.
Oh, yeah,
Or
absolutely.
just didn't care to.
Yeah, because being a doctor in the 19th century was like, it must have been really fun because you'd show up drunk to work.
Dude, turn of the century doctor, what a life.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, you got
What a life.
You got ghosts in your blood. Do cocaine for that.
Dude, you ever seen that, I think it might be Showtime, the show The Nick, about the Knickerbocker, the hospital in New York during turn of the century?
No.
Dude, that show is so cool. It's like turn of the century medicine, so they're just getting around to discovering x-rays and stuff. And there's all these experimental medical procedures that go horribly wrong. It's awesome, dude. That show is really good. I got it. It's been years since I checked it out, but it's good.
Okay, I got what's it called again?
The Nick, K-N-I-C-K, like the Knickerbocker.
Okay, I gotta check that out. That sounds actually pretty cool.
Which isn't that where the New York Knicks get their name from?
Oh shit, it might. I never thought about that.
Last time I was in New York, I remember walking around and I saw the Knickerbocker Hospital. I'm like, oh, the Knicks. Oh,
yeah,
maybe that makes sense.
Because I knew Mets came from Metropolitans.
Yeah,
but Knicks, I don't watch basketball, so I just never thought about what it was.
Where's the whole socks thing come from? Do you know anything about that? Is it literally the color of the socks?
I think because there used to also be a team called the Black Sox.
Okay.
So I think it is literally the color of the socks. I do watch a lot of baseball, but I don't know the history as well as football.
At home, our AA team is the Bowie Bay Sox.
Yeah.
What is a Bay?
What the fuck
sock?
is a Bay sock? Maybe it just became like sock was a thing you said, so eventually they were just like. Which also, what a weird part of the uniform to name your team after.
Yeah, of all the things, I'd rather be the Leatherheads. You know, something like that for old school football.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That's a badass name.
You ever looked at the Raiders logo? The Raider pirate thing in their logo is still wearing a leather football helmet.
Yeah,
which is I was like, I really hope they never update that because that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I watched. You follow Emp Lemon on YouTube?
I do. I don't watch him religiously, but I do like some.
Dude, he just put out like an hour-long video about revenge in NASCAR.
I do not, please. I know this is great for the podcast.
I won't spoil anything.
Okay.
It is a fantastic video. Please check it out, because for something that I give zero fucks about, I was engrossed.
See, I don't love NASCAR. NASCAR is about on par with baseball in my mind, where it's like, I'll watch NASCAR when
it's
NASCAR's
something to
on.
sit and get drunk at while you watch something happen.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel about both sports, where it's like football, it's like, no, just getting drunk is something I'm doing while I'm watching football.
Yeah.
You know, I'm engaged in football.
Yeah.
No, because he released the video about Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
Which is like I understood that Dale Earnhardt was a legend. But now it's like, oh no, his death was like if Tom Brady broke his neck in the 7th Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you know, he was a super legend. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Check out that video, dude. It's good.
Yeah,
really good. I would love to go to a NASCAR race. To be honest,
I'm actually
drink overpriced, terrible, shitty beer, and just yell at cars going in circles.
Yeah,
hell yes.
Put some chew in your mouth and just.
Maybe not that part, but yeah.
I'm actually going to a NASCAR race. I think in May.
Oh, where? What track are you going to?
It's a short track down in Virginia. I can't remember the name of it. My friend I got a boy who loves NASCAR. He watches it religiously. And he really wanted to go to one, and he got me into NASCAR. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm down to go to one.
Who's his favorite driver right now? If he mentioned it,
I mean, he has. I don't know. Like I'm not a good friend.
Dude, I was oddly enough when I was a little kid, I liked Jeff Gordon, and I had a Lego set of his car with that lucky number 24 on the side.
Did you watch NASCAR?
No, I mean I was like 5-6 years old.
Yeah, no, I remember when I was like about that age, I loved baseball cards, but I also didn't watch baseball, so.
What baseball card collection is another odd thing, you know, because it's just a piece of paper with a name and stats on it.
That was originally meant to get you to buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like that's where the whole sports card thing comes from, is buy cigarettes.
Yeah, but has there been any recent players who have cards that are worth keeping?
I can't imagine there are because they mass produce them. Like I know there's like that one player for the Pittsburgh Pirates that his card is just like he didn't he he didn't want to be part of selling cigarettes to children.
Mm.
So like this company started making cards for him. They made like 18 of them before he was like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Why are you using my image to sell cigarettes to children?"
Oh yeah.
And they had to scrap the whole thing because there's only 18 out there.
Ooh, yeah, dude, those bootleg cards, those sometimes those can get the big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, it was produced by like the actual people who made baseball cards, who were cigarette companies. You know,
Yeah.
it was like as legit as baseball cards were back then.
What are modern day collectibles like that? I feel like the whole culture of collecting things is kind of out the door.
Well, you got CS:GO.
Yeah, well, collecting skins in CS:GO,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Or ridiculous weapons in Team Fortress 2.
But that actually has a use. Whereas like a baseball card, I get no utility from a baseball card other than I like to look at it.
It's literally something to just hold on to and hope that one day it has way more value than it
Yeah.
does now.
Yeah, I don't see any point to collecting cards like that. You know.
There's nothing really. It feels like there's not much like that anymore. Because everything's technology based, so everyone's looking forward to the next iteration.
Yeah, I'm legitimately, other than CS:GO skins, which even now CS:GO is like an outdated game.
Yeah, thinking outside digital media, what are people collecting?
This is going to be a long, awkward pause in the podcast because I literally can't think of
I
anything.
can't think of anything.
See, I feel like someone's going to comment and be like, "You idiots! It's this," you know. But
Probably. I mean, it's like the only thing big like that's the show Hoarders, and that's about how collecting is can be very bad
can be
and
dangerous for you.
life.
Yeah, that is hoarding collecting.
No, I mean it goes deeper than just collecting. There's some deep insecurity you're trying to patch up by holding on to things.
What you might have a leg up on me here because I've never watched Hoarders. But what do you think the psychology behind hoarding is?
It's usually people who've lost someone or something in their life very important, and they feel like for some reason collecting stuff will make them more secure.
So it's like, or you've lost somebody, so you sort of get the mentality that you weren't holding on to things hard enough.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
It's something along those lines. Because it's not just I want to collect a bunch of cans of food. It's there's something inside me that needs to hold on to something permanent.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of the times it's like garbage is what's because I've seen like someone like the compilations like the best moments or whatever like they just appear on the internet and I watch them because I'm a brainless zombie.
Yeah.
But I I've seen like bits and pieces where it's like you're just like, why do you have newspapers from the 1970s? You know, it's just garbage. You know.
Yeah, it's never like my husband of 40 years died of a prolonged battle of cancer. It's always something sudden. You know, someone taken out of your life just in a flash.
Yeah, like a car crash or
something tragic.
Yeah, okay. Usually. Okay, that psychology actually makes a lot of sense.
Bro, there was one episode where this lady, for whatever reason, decided to keep all of her feces just in buckets all over the house. It was so bad that when the people showed up and they smelled the house, they're like, well, I don't know if we should do this. I don't know if we should help this lady.
Wouldn't that be off-gassing methane? Which
probably
is toxic?
A lot. And explosive. If she was a smoker, she could have blown up her house, no problem.
What the? Okay. There's a thing that people say about houses where meth has been cooked in them.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can never get that kind of smell of like burning and cat piss out of the walls.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be true of that house, though.
I would never move into that property, dude.
No
amount of renovation is going to save you from that.
No, because I've heard people say like they wouldn't get a house that they thought that was supposed to be haunted. It's like I would buy a house that was supposed to be haunted. If someone told me that someone collected shit in this house, I don't care if it's $2. I'm not buying the house.
It was I can't find the episode on YouTube anymore. It probably got taken down, but my God, dude, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, that sounds hard to watch.
Oh,
okay, weird non sequitur here. Well, actually, it's tangentially related to old TV shows that
Mhm.
are. I thought of it because it's no longer up and you have to pay for it now.
Yeah.
Which I did because I'm an idiot. Do you remember that show Deadliest Warrior?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I bought seasons 1 and I think like season like 3 or something like that because there weren't a ton of seasons of the show as I later realized.
Yeah, there wasn't that much of it.
Yeah, it was a short-lived show. That show, the production value was terrible, and
Yeah.
the process for deciding the deadliest warrior was definitely bullshit.
Absolutely. Absolutely, dude.
Like they did computer generations to decide like which warrior was deadly. Now you bought a 12-pack, you sat around with the two other guys and you argued about whether a Spartan would beat a samurai.
Honestly, yeah. They could have bought Rome Total War and they would have gotten better statistics.
They really would have gotten better
like
statistics.
A video game would have done a better job.
Yeah. It was
Because it was as much about the info on the soldiers as it was about the spectacle. So they had the big battle at the end, and there were also always some weird turn of events that ends up killing the person who was dominating the whole time.
which I feel like you got to do. Which one? That battle is the reason to watch the show. I guess I watched the rest of it just because I want to go like, oh, that spear stabs people.
Oh, yeah.
But like that battle at the end is like the most exciting bit, you know?
Most exciting and most infuriating because some of the wins just come out of nowhere.
Okay, I watched the episode where the Yakuza fought the Mafia.
Yeah.
And they were like the Mafia's like throne or explosive weapon or whatever was a Molotov cocktail, right?
Yeah.
And it is probably the greatest scene I've seen in my entire life in terms of bad cinema.
Oh God.
Where they take the Molotov cocktail and there's all these guys dressed like 1940s mafiosos, and they throw it at the window, and you can see it hits the window and bounces off. And as it just hits it and bounces off, they then cut to a different angle where it's through the window and the building is burning, but you can watch it and you can see that it bounces off for like a split second.
Why did they put that in?
It's like you can throw it again. The window's still intact. The building is burning. You clearly have the materials to make another Molotov. Did they only bring one?
I have no idea, man.
Yeah, that was that was weird.
The games I think were a lot. I'm not going to say more fair, but fun.
They were fun.
Games.
Yeah, I had the one that had like both games in it where you could play as
they released like a double pack.
Yeah. And I remember the one where it wasn't like individuals, which they started doing later on.
Yeah.
The one before that where it was just like the different class, I guess, of warrior.
Yeah, your season 1 characters, your pirate, your samurai.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought up the pirate because the pirate, I always played the pirate because he was broken because he had a gun.
Oh yeah, dude.
He had a gun. He just pulled out the gun and shot you once and you died because it's a gun.
That was the winning strategy for the game. Play as the pirate or the Spartan and either shoot first or you just yeet your spear right at someone's head.
and I think sort of the Apache worked kind of well for that too because the Apache had the tomahawk.
Any thrown weapon, that is your opening move of the battle.
Yeah, and it's like
which historically makes sense. You have skirmishers who launch their pillar, they throw their couple spears, and then they go in with the sword.
Yeah, but I mean, there were some like I remember the what was it, the Zulu warrior or something like that had like a terrible thrown weapon.
Oh yeah,
you know. Yeah. And so there were some characters that were just not playable if your friends also because there wasn't like a competitive scene for the game because everyone would just play the pirate.
Dude, I would have loved a competitive scene. Imagine like as mad as like Smash players get at tournaments. Imagine the Deadliest Warrior players losing in one bullshit throw right at the beginning.
We are starting a Deadliest Warriors competitive scene.
Dude, I would love that.
Cam, that's the podcast we're making. You and I are playing Deadliest Warriors, okay?
All right, dude.
We're gonna gather up some guys. We're gonna have like a tier to decide who the deadliest gamer is.
Damn, I'm gonna even bust out the 360. They don't even have a port for PS4, I don't think.
Yeah, or I'll have to bust out the the 360. Yeah, I had on 360 too. Yeah, we're going to make a bracket tournament called the Deadliest Gamer.
Let's do it. That'd actually be fun.
We could even make it a live stream and just post it. You know?
Yeah, dude. Well, honestly, we like when we're setting up the podcast, we miss out on a bunch of convo. We could just live stream the setup and the podcast and the after talk or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would work.
Yeah, I'm down for that. And if we both lose early on, which could happen, we could just narrate,
Dude, did you hear about Twitch's new rules for their streamers?
No.
They're now going to be judging your behavior off platform and applying it to your behavior on the platform. So essentially, anyone who doesn't have the right political views or isn't a hot chick isn't going to have a place on Twitch anymore.
Well, didn't they just... Okay, so one, that's fucked up. That's clearly fucked up.
It's so stupid.
I don't know what to say about that other than it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a thing you should do,
Dude, the rules of Twitch... It'd be one thing if the rules were applied to everyone equally, but that is clearly not the case.
Well, have you heard about that, 18 plus streaming service that they've made now?
No. What?
Yeah, it's some news, I got it from the greatest source of news, Snapchat, which is just ass. Yeah, so why would you have an 18 plus streaming service, though? Because, if I'm older than 18, I'm not watching a stream where a girl wears a tube top,
I don't know.
It's I'm 18, or I'm 22. I don't need that.
Apparently, there is a market for IRL streamers, just people doing nothing, sitting in a pool. It's
yeah, which is cool.
I always had this idea when Netflix kids came out. You have Netflix Kids, you have normal Netflix. Then Netflix and Pornhub need to team up and release Nutflix, Netflix for adults. I feel like that would actually be a great team up. They could do a lot of good work.
I don't see how that would be different.
It's not. It's just you don't have to switch from the Netflix app. That's it. That's the edge you need on the competition.
I feel like if you're trying to watch porn, you have the motivation to switch applications.
Yeah. You'd certainly think.
Yeah. Have you heard of Cornhub?
I did hear when they did that. Was that an April Fool's joke a couple of years ago?
No, I think there's an actual website now called Cornhub.
Oh, someone made it straight up.
Someone made it straight up Cornhub, where it's just videos of corn.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what our pre-podcast conversations were about.
I honestly don't even remember. Like I was telling you, dude, on the drive up, it just went by in a flash. I barely remember getting here.
Yeah, you were talking about how your brain has just been static for the last week.
Just mush, dude. It's been impossible to string coherent thoughts together. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the sobriety, straight up sobriety. Who knows?
Have you not been, smoking at all?
Nah.
Wow.
No,
okay.
Nothing of the sort. Haven't been drinking. No nicotine.
Oh yeah, you were talking last podcast about how you wanted to try out sobriety.
Yeah, bad idea. I mean, I'm on the job hunt, so it helps with that. But
yeah,
life is there's too much time in a day. Too many spans of 30 seconds where you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this time?
Yeah, other than
it's always overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you were talking about last week, you were like, I want to eat healthy. I want to start going to the gym more. And I was on board with you. And then you said, I want to be sober. And I was like, ooh, I like to drink.
Yeah.
Like the first thing I do when I get home from work every day, because I have a job now, is fill up a glass of beer.
That's the thing. Like if I had a job right now, I could justify, nicotine or alcohol, no problem. But I don't. So when I buy a pack of beer, I usually have a beer a night. Nothing crazy, but I tend to go through it when I have it on me. So not buying any alcohol of any type, not having any vape pods around, I feel less inclined to do it, I guess.
Yeah, actually, since I started working, I noticed that the rate at which I go through Juul pods, because I had one last pack of Juul pods when I started working, and I'm broke till I get my first paycheck.
Yeah.
But a 4-pack of Juul pods lasted me over a week, which, for reference, normally or before I had a job, I went through 2 pods a day.
2 a day?
2 a day. And then I stretched it out to it was 2.5 days per pod.
Well, it's no wonder you switch back to the box mod. That's got to be way more economic.
Way more because it's a stronger hit each hit, and the juice is way cheaper. But I'm only doing this until I can switch back to Juul.
Yeah.
Until I start making money again, because Juul is just so much more convenient.
It's gotten so expensive.
In the state, okay.
Massively expensive within Maryland.
You want to know how addicted to nicotine I am?
Go ahead.
I drive down to McLean, Virginia, to buy Juul pods.
Dude, what?
I just buy a whole, show up and give me 10 packs of Juul pods.
You have no business over there? You're just driving over for the pods?
Nope. I drive an hour down to McLean, and then I'm like, can I have Juul pods?
Damn,
10 packs.
Even with the gas, you're probably saving money.
It's
just sad.
Because it's $18 down there. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
And you get discounts for buying in bulk, which apparently is a thing that other states do. They let normal ways that things interact happen.
Yeah.
And so I drive up and I'm like, man, I saved so much money on Juul pods by driving an hour down to Virginia, you know?
Honestly, at this point, yeah.
Yeah, because it's $30 for a 4-pack in Maryland.
Yeah, Kayla told me she picked up 2 4-packs of the menthol pods, and it was $62 with tax.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, they've made it so expensive, man. It's insane.
Well, I know it's the vape prices have changed. Have the cigarette prices changed?
I don't know because I haven't bought cigarettes in. Well, actually, I bought some in Vegas just because I was in Vegas. But the prices there were cheap because it's Vegas. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Dude.
I haven't bought cigarettes in the state of Maryland in probably about 2 years.
I remember going to Vegas as a kid with my family, and that was the air quality. It's nicotine time.
Yeah. No, I mean everywhere there is part casino, and half the places are part strip club.
It was Beijing. People somehow smoked more than Vegas, but it was about on par. Just infinite, nonstop cigarette smoking.
I don't see a reason not to smoke in Beijing. Because you're already getting lung cancer.
Yeah,
you live in Beijing.
Just breathing the air, drinking the water, you are putting your health way on the line.
Yeah, it's might as well smoke cigarettes, get some sort of pleasure out of the terrible environment you live in.
Dude, I'm not kidding. On the streets of Beijing, when I was there was a good 1.5 feet between the curb of the street and where the cigarette butts ended before the rest of the street took over. Everywhere. Non-stop smoking, man.
I have a friend who's from China, and she was talking about I asked her about drinking in China. I was like, because she barely drinks at all.
Yeah,
it's hard to get her to drink. Which is not I'm trying to force her to drink or anything, but it's we're all drinking. I'm like, hey, what do you want to drink?
Yeah.
She'll be like, oh, tea. Okay. Not what I meant.
Dude, in China,
but
the tea. Well, let me just.
You go, bro.
In China, the tea comes free. Hot tea comes free. Water, you got to pay for.
I guess that makes cultural sense, though.
Yeah, but continue with the story.
Oh yeah, so I just asked her about so they not drink a lot in China, and she was like, oh no, they drink way more than here in China.
People go hard in China, dude.
Her dad works for the government in some sort of what we would call here Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
And they have business meetings that start with shots.
Dude, that's how business gets done in China and Taiwan. You have to drink with your boss if you want to have any chance of rising through the company.
Okay, see, I feel like if that were applied to America, I'd already be a CFO. I'd be in charge of something if it was, can you drink with your boss?
The last thing CEOs need here is frat culture. It's the last thing they need.
It would kind of make it more fun, though.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, it is the standard in China. Drink hard with your boss.
Yeah, that's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
It's crazy because as far as I know in China, there's not a lot of other intoxicant use. There's a ton of cigarettes, binge drinking out of control, and that's it.
Well, because
I know
the Maoists used to, if you were caught doing drugs, you'd be taken out, to the outskirts of the village and shot.
Yeah, dude. That harshness persists in Vietnam, where if you get caught with a gram of weed, you're going to jail 10 plus years.
Yeah,
You get caught with an ounce, execution straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of East Asia is still like that with drugs. I know, like the new president, he might not even be the president anymore of the Philippines.
Duterte?
Yeah. I don't even know if he's still president.
Oh, yes, he's still around.
Oh, okay. He was executing drug dealers.
No, not drug dealers. He was executing drug users. He said nothing about the dealers. He wanted to kill the people, the victims.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that guy goes hard.
Do you know about I've definitely talked to you about this before, whether or not it was on the pod, the Swiss approach to how they fix their heroin problem?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We talked about this before.
Yeah, no, sorry, that's the thing I bring up all the time because I think it was brilliant, and also I love Switzerland.
Yeah, dude, it was really interesting because after decades of the American approach, try incarcerating everyone, go super hard on people, they decided to finally get scientists in on it and hear what they had to say, and they're like, okay, crazy idea, guys. What if the government became the plug? Selling only the purest heroin as much as you want, short of an overdose, and you do it on government premises, surrounded by therapists and doctors.
And therapists and social workers,
Yeah.
It's like, and what if addiction is a mental and social problem?
Dude, it only took 5 years for their addiction rate to drop like 83%, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's down to 99% of people who were using opioids are no longer on opioids. And then
And you can
it was
still
replicated in Portugal.
Yeah, and you can still walk into one of their government dispensaries and get a blast of heroin in the arm.
I'm not going to do it, but, that's because I'm a happy, socially stable person,
And that's the whole point. They decided to, let's not worry about the chemical addiction so much. Let's fix what's wrong in people's lives that makes them want to pursue a life of drugs.
And that's why there's so many people that get incarcerated in the U.S. for drugs, for possessing drugs, and get out and immediately start doing drugs again. It's because, if anything, you've made their mental state worse.
Bro, some people have to go on bail, and then they need to sell drugs to make the money for bail.
Yeah, it's
like, Jesus.
It's ridiculous. In like a state like Maryland where we have such a drug problem, we need to implement a system like that.
Honestly, dude, I was thinking like the government should recruit non-violent drug dealers and set up government dispensaries. Because you have people who know the product, they know the clientele, they know how to sell it, and they're sitting in jail for non-violent drug crimes. These people could be making bank for Uncle Sam, and everyone gets stoned off of it. Makes sense to me.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Cam.
But what else do they have skills
I want
in?
doctors to do that. I want you to have a med degree if you're selling people drugs legally.
Okay, if you're selling pills, sure.
No, any drug. I want you to have a medical degree. I want you to know shit about the human body and not just be like, this shit is dank. It's like stronger doesn't equal better.
Sure, you get them to work with scientists. You don't just put them in a building and set them loose. But I think those people would make great employees at dispensaries.
Okay. Well, you mean like weed dispensaries?
Specifically weed, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about like a heroin dispensary.
No,
that was where the disconnect was happening there.
I mean like weed dispensaries.
Oh, but then 100%.
You have people who know the game, know the product, know the clientele.
No, I mean absolutely. That there I agree with you. Yeah, if it's just because weed it's not harmless, but it's not harmful.
Yeah, there's many, many worse intoxicants out there.
Nicotine and alcohol, like in this state, weed is still not legal recreationally.
Yeah,
but it's like alcohol and nicotine are legal. Make weed legal. It's like if you're gonna make alcohol and nicotine.
I mean, they've been
legal,
growing tobacco out here since the colonists came over.
Yeah, and it's way more addictive and way more deadly.
And they were growing hemp as well. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Mostly for sales and clothes, but.
Yeah, and for rope and shit like that,
It's only a small jump from your sativa, sativa hemp strains to sativa weed strains.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there must have been somebody who realized they could get high off of it.
Probably.
I remember I was talking to my friend Will, who is a history major. Actually, we should have him on the pod sometime. He'd be a really interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, dude.
But I asked him about what's the earliest recorded event of people smoking marijuana. And it's like the Mycenaean Greeks, like before the ancient Greeks.
Oh yeah.
There was a historian who went traveling through Asia, and he went to the steppes of Asia, and there was this tribe that would burn herbs in their tents.
Oh, they used to hotbox big time back then.
And he claimed that it made them more sociable, which, yes, that is one of the effects, as I'm aware.
Yeah, they were probably smoking some trash ruderalis.
I mean, yeah,
the
before
saddest of weed out there.
that was pretty much all weed before like we started GMOing it in the 90s.
Yeah, dude.
You know, which was really the Dutch started doing that because it was legal, and then everywhere else just sort of picked onto it. Which also the Netherlands is so weird with drugs, where marijuana is legal and tobacco is legal, but mixing them is illegal, and cocaine is pseudo-legal.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, a spliff is illegal, but a cigarette and a joint is legal.
Maybe the thought process behind that is that adults know what they're getting into with one substance or the other, and there's a whole bunch of unregulated effects that can happen in between when you mix them.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because you're... And also, I mean, I think... And from another one, it's like weed is habit-forming, but considered to be non-addictive, whereas nicotine is physically addictive. Yeah. Like, it's one of the most addictive substances we know. So you could think of it as like if you start making spliffs legal, then marijuana manufacturers may sell as many spliffs as cheap as possible to get people hooked on them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I could see that.
Dude, I would love to go to Denmark sometime.
Denmark. I'm talking about the Netherlands.
No, the Netherlands. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't even smoke weed. I'd still love to go to the Netherlands.
It'd be tight.
It'd be beautiful. It's supposed to be a gorgeous country, man.
Yeah, dude. Bike riding through those flower fields.
Yeah. Tight. Yeah. Fields and fields of tulips and shit. And then
wasn't that where Albert Hoffman was when he discovered LSD?
No, that was Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah,
okay.
he was a Swiss scientist.
Where you get a bicycle day from, right?
Yeah, in 1944. Yeah.
That's so long ago, dude.
And also, like, think about it. World War II was going on all around Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
And this dude was just tripping for the first time in history.
Riding a bike on a beautiful day.
Yeah, which also, I love Switzerland. I love that country. Whenever a war happens, they're just like, oh, you can store your gold here, you know? Yeah, we're not getting involved. And also, they have like armed neutrality. So during World War II, when Allied or Axis, they didn't give a fuck. When any other the belligerent sides would fly overhead, they weren't just like, oh, this is okay. They would fly Swiss fighters next to them and demand that they land, and then they'd put them in like prison, like a POW camp. But it was really sort of just like a nice Swiss vacation.
Yeah, the Swiss neutrality is a pretty aggressive brand of neutrality.
Yeah,
where they have mandatory military service.
Yeah, I think it's just all males.
Yeah,
and like women are encouraged, you know. But
yeah, I think you have to do either 7 or 12 months total, of which you do a 5-month stretch. But yeah, it's mandatory over there, and
you're also required by law to have a gun.
Yeah,
and it's impossible to invade because it's in the Alps like that. Where it's like, the whole thing where it's, if you have a small passage to come through, one guy with a gun can defeat a battalion.
Yeah, it's not their armed population as a number alone that's threatening. It's the environment that the population is fighting in, which makes it so dangerous.
Exactly. And so that's why Switzerland's pretty much, unless you're Napoleon, impossible to invade. Because Napoleon could just invade anywhere. He was Napoleon.
People really out here thinking he was like 5'3".
No, he was 5'7", which was like average for the day.
Yeah, he was totally average.
Actually, he was a little above average.
I heard the theory that it was his enemies who spread that lie to make him seem like an angry little man.
And it was also because English inches and feet were were different from French ones. Yeah. So in French feet, which were longer, or French inches, which were longer, it made Napoleon seem like he was really short. So the British just hopped on that, where I'm pretty sure...
Just capitalized on that misunderstanding.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Cornwall, the guy who defeated Napoleon at Waterloo, was actually shorter than Napoleon.
Was it Cornwallis or just Cornwall?
I think it was... I'm going to look this up now. I think it was Cornwall.
For whatever reason, I'm thinking Cornwallis. Well, maybe it was just Cornwall.
Because I think he was like the Duke or something of Cornwall.
Yeah, there was... There was Blucher, there was Wellington, and then there was either Cornwall or
You're right, it's Cornwallis. Oh, but I'm thinking, you know what? Cornwall's not the right guy. Who was the guy that beat him at Waterloo?
That was Blucher, I believe.
No, what were some of the other names you just said?
Uh, oh man. There was. I know there was a Blucher. I think there was a Wellington, maybe.
Maybe it was Wellington.
This is taking me back to AP Euro, 11th grade.
I think yeah, it was Wellington. It was Wellington. Let's look up how tall was he?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Oh, okay, so no, he was taller than Napoleon,
Okay.
but not much taller than Napoleon.
Yeah.
You know,
Not George Washington tall. That dude was massive for the day. 6'3".
yeah. And you got to think for the day. It's like that's when everyone was like 5'5",
Yeah.
and he was 6'3".
Which it might have just been genetics. Maybe it was because
Well, he was upper class, and
Yeah,
it's been proven that eating more meat when you're young results in you generally being taller.
yeah, the ability for humans to grow really big or live into their 80s, that's been around for tens of thousands of years. It was more what you were getting out of your environment that would shape how you grew to the size or whatever, or
And
how long you lived.
It's also like when you look at going from hunter-gatherer societies to where you primarily ate meat.
Yeah.
Gathering was much less so a staple of your diet compared to hunting.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much you can bring in a day of hunting versus a day of gathering. Probably way more calories if you catch one deer.
Exactly. And you, because of the way that humans are built, where we're endurance animals, you were probably able to catch a deer a day. And then we switched to agricultural societies. In agricultural societies, health dropped and lifespans dropped. The people were way shorter. They were way less healthy. They only lived to like their 20s.
Also, the quality of people's teeth dropped.
Oh yeah, substantially. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at primates, none of them have crooked teeth. It's not a thing there. But when you look at humans, that the bad teeth or like teeth that are like misshapen in the wrong place, that really started to come around once society switched over to a lot of soft cooked foods.
Yeah.
Because we lost the ability to tear at meats like a chimp does.
Yeah.
So weirdly, that is something you can see occur within a population within like a century and a half.
I mean, I believe that you could probably view that within 2 generations or something like that. Which I mean, I guess maybe a century and a half could be 2 generations, but
so it's the lack of tough foods which gives us bad teeth. It's not genetics, so to speak.
That's very weird because I had my teeth are kind of straight now, but they're still not great teeth,
Yeah, I mean, what was the Irish diet like for the last 200 years?
Yeah, I mean, mostly potatoes.
Soft foods for the most part.
A soft vegetable was pretty much all you were eating.
Look at the Brits. They got super wealthy, started to eat a lot of soft foods, and
they're known for bad teeth.
The teeth went with them.
Yeah. See, I wonder if eventually that becomes like. Do you know what epigenetics are?
I'm familiar with the term.
It's like the genetics around your genetics. Mm-hmm. Like it'll determine things about you genetically and about your children genetically. And so I wonder if that diet then affected later generations of people from the British Isles.
Yeah, probably.
Because I don't know, because we're still, epigenetics is still like a weird thing to us, like we don't fully understand it yet from what I understand, which I have a degree in economics, so don't listen to anything I say about biology. But it's like, it still doesn't make a ton of sense, but that could have been something that's like, you start eating soft food, your teeth get bad, your epigenetics change, and then you pass it on to your children.
Dude,
you pass it on to their children, and so on and so forth.
You ever take a look at what the projections of what humans will look like in 100 years is?
I've seen that big article that was going around for a while.
It's weird. Our mouths get smaller. Our eyes get much bigger. Like, we look like anime characters, and everyone morphs into this one honey golden color.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that's going to happen.
So it wasn't necessarily what everyone's going to look like then, but what the average person would look like with the way that...
Was it 100 years? There's no way it happens in 100 years.
They were looking at 100 years.
So yeah, because I remember that article passing around 100. Evolution does not happen that quickly.
No, naturally evolution doesn't, but we do a lot of selective breeding as humans.
But we don't do it with each other. We do it with other animals.
We kind of do it with each other.
Well, like there's sexual selection. Yeah, but sexual selection has been around for sexual selection is pretty stable, I mean,
it's weird. It's as biologically driven as it is economically driven since the rise of stable urban cultures.
Well, that's true of pretty much any pack group of species, Like there's a reason prostitution is the oldest job, you know?
It's something that surpasses even human beings. Did you hear about this experiment where I forgot what the premise of the experiment was, but there was
I know exactly the experiment
there
you're
was like
talking
a
about.
female chimp who was selling herself for bananas, essentially.
Well, okay, so maybe I heard of a different experiment. Maybe I heard of a different experiment. They were doing it wasn't chimps. It was some other type of primate, like a lower evolved primate,
Mm.
or lower intelligence. But a bunch of economists taught them how to use currency, where they could exchange the currency for different types of fruit, right? And the ones that they like more cost more currency.
Yeah.
Um, and the first thing that when they understood currency, the first thing they started using currency for was prostitution, was buying sex.
Yeah. I mean, sex and food is the two things that drive a population, you know? We like to think there's way more to life, but that's the genetic basics.
That's like, yeah, that's like at the center of like a lizard brain, you know?
You need to eat and you need to propagate your bloodline.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Have you heard the concept of the lizard brain?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, yeah. It's
Where you have a lizard brain, your mammalian brain, and then your humanoid brain for the most part.
Yeah. So I blame a lot of things on the lizard brain, you know? Like, just anything bad that I do, I blame it on the lizard brain.
It's a strong influence. I mean, it's the underlying current between a lot of things, you know?
It's sort of it's the evolutionary center of your brain.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Monkeys.
Yeah, chimps are fucking terrifying.
Chimps. I think part of what's so terrifying about them is how close they are to us. We see a lot of our base desires within them, our violence, our lust, our
Yeah, but also
greed.
okay, so the two closest ancestors of humans that are still around are bonobos and chimps that are like which are like polar opposites. Bonobos are like peaceful and loving.
Very social, very peaceful.
Yeah, and chimps are brutal and they're the only other animal that we've ever recorded going to war.
Yeah.
Like they're just the most violent animal in nature, you know? Maybe not the most dangerous, but the most violent.
They're sadistic. They don't just kill. They make it as painful as possible. They go for the genitals and the eyes, things that won't kill the target, but will put them in excruciating pain.
Yeah, and I don't understand that whole like 50s trend of when everyone was like, oh, chimps are funny. It's like, no, chimps are terrifying. Chimps are horrifying.
God, dude, the people like that lady who got her face ripped off living with the chimp, Travis the chimp.
I didn't know about that at all.
Dude, she got messed up. And they had lived with this chimp for like 20 years. It had very few outbursts prior to that, but this was just out of nowhere. And apparently the lady had been, because, you know, Travis was an adult male chimp, he wanted to be outside, wanted to be wild. And she had been feeding him wine and Xanax to make him as docile as possible. And one day it just didn't work.
That sounds like a bad thing to give to a chimp.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
Maybe a good idea for a plane flight, not for everyday life with your chimp Travis.
Yeah. I had an uncle who owned a chimp. Bit off two of his fingers. Our great uncle.
Oh, God.
Bit off two of his fingers.
Oh, my God.
He was going crazy. He had to shoot it.
Yeah, that's how living with a chimp goes eventually.
Yeah, but it was the past, so people were like, this is fine.
I mean,
you can own a chimp.
It seems cool. They're kind of like us. That's funny, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're intelligent and, you know, sort of they can be amusing, but also they're chimps.
Yeah, dude.
They're incredibly violent. Don't keep a chimp in your house.
I've been watching a whole bunch of like urban disaster videos on YouTube, like theme parks that messed up, overlooks that collapse,
You know,
stuff like that.
theme parks that messed up. They have 2 movies about that.
Oh, really? Was it about Adventureland?
No, it was about Jurassic. It was called a Jurassic Park and Jurassic. No, I'm sorry. I was fucking with you. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, dude, but just like there was this dude John Jones, you know about him, who died in the Nutty Putty Cave.
No, what?
Out west.
No,
he went caving with his family. I think it was like Easter or something, and he went. He'd been exploring that cave since he was a kid, and he went a way that he thought he knew. Ends up totally upside down, wedged into the rock. They send in like 5 different rescuers. No one can get him. Eventually, he dies, and they seal the entire cave with concrete and make it a giant tomb for this guy. And it's like, he was 24 when he died inside the cave. How easy would it have been to not go inside caves alone? Just period.
Yeah.
That's basic human instinct in that case could have saved his life.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Don't go into the dark area with places that are unexplored.
Don't go into dark areas. Don't go into caves. Don't live with chimps. Really simple things, but people are dying out here from crazy stuff.
There's this like, I think it's like a fungus or something. It's like some sort of like parasite that wants to get into cats and will like,
God, what's it called? Toxoplasmosis.
Okay, you actually know it.
Yeah.
See,
Did you know 70% of the Brazilian population is infected with it?
That's terrifying.
They love cats.
Oh shit!
They happen to live around them.
See, I think that people who like engage in lots of risk-taking behavior, there's a good chance they have that. You know,
it's something really subtle, but it can affect the outcome of your actions in weird ways. It's something
and the outcome of your life. You know?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I mean that's terrifying.
Something that lives inside cats and gets transmitted to us.
And I mean, well, it tries to make you engage in higher risk behavior so that you'll die and it can get into a cat.
It does that. It does that to mice as well. It does that to the mice, and then the mice get eaten by the cat, and the cat gets the toxoplasmosis.
Yeah.
Thus continuing the cycle.
And when it gets into you, I guess it just doesn't know that you're a person, that you won't be eaten by a cat, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like biology and evolution, there's no set route for anything. You know, things just kind of happen. If it works out, it works out, and if it doesn't, it dies out.
Yeah, and that's sort of how it's happened, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, some of those things, super avoidable. Don't go into caves alone. Don't live with a chimp. Don't swim with orcas. Like, you heard about the attack that... Multiple attacks happened at SeaWorld from people swimming with killer whales. It's like...
Killer is in their name.
Right? How simple is it to not swim with orcas, killer whales?
Don't swim with any animal that has killer in its name.
It's so simple. It's so simple. And then tragedy happens.
Well, and then there's like also, I think there's over 100 some people who are considered the inventors of the wingsuit. All of whom, with the exception of one, died in wingsuit related accidents.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking wingsuit.
Oh,
Don't
God.
do that. If you want to fall, do a parachute, which is way safer.
Well, one of the first inventors of the parachute, he jumped off the Eiffel Tower to show off his design.
Yeah, I heard about this, yeah.
It didn't exactly work.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't exactly work.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like, because wingsuits are still pretty deadly. Because you could just fuck up for a second and crash.
A muscle spasm, a Charlie horse will send you careening into the earth.
Yeah, to your death. It's like a parachute. It's like, we know how a parachute works at this point. You keep one parachute and then a reserve, and you parachute with other people.
I mean, Da Vinci was working on designs for parachutes.
He was, yeah. You know, it's like we got him down at this point. If you want to fall from the sky, parachute. Don't use a fucking wingsuit. Or people who base jump. It's like, that's a terrible idea. Don't base jump.
So dangerous. So obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
That's something I never get as far as addictions go. Like, being addicted to the adrenaline rush of doing something obviously dangerous. I can understand that, but I don't feel that at all.
So I can sort of relate to it a little bit just because I bounced for so long. I was a bouncer for people on the podcast. And I found that, like, with fights, they were almost like a form of meditation. Like a weird form, because it's like, you know how like you normally have like a time scale that you think on, whether it be like, I hope it's not a year, you're a very stressed person, but like a month or a week or a day or even hours, you know, you're thinking about what needs to happen when in sort of like the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Like when you get into a fight, like the entire world collapses to like the next minute or the next few seconds. You know,
it's free flow existence.
Yeah, or like the next second. It's like, when is this fist going to connect with my face? You know?
Oh yeah, this is something I've heard from a couple of like UFC fighters and stuff. How they hit that same kind of zone, that flow that you get into with meditation. Where
Yeah.
it's no thinking, it's just doing. The action comes before the thinking does.
It's like I'm still thinking while it's happening. It's just that my thoughts have been like it's like the meditation where they tell you to like focus on one thing, and that one thing is usually your breathing.
But you don't think, okay, I'm gonna do a left hook if he does
Yeah.
this. No, the body just acts.
Yeah.
It's pure action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it clears your mind. It's actually very sort of moment, like it's not like I like violence or like I think like violence is yay good, you
No,
know,
this
but
is
it just was a part of my job, and it was like sort of when a fight would happen, it was like relaxing, you know.
yeah, dude. That's
It was weirdly calming.
this gets to existentialist philosophy in a lot of ways. This is what Nietzsche was talking about between the master and slave mentalities, where the master, there is no forethought to the actions of the master. They just do based on who they are. You know, action comes as a result of character. Whereas for the slave mentality, everything is reactionary. It occurs based on something that's already happened, first action.
I want you to repeat that in a second because I just hit my vape and I realized that it was at 220 watts,
Yikes.
and that was a way harder. I accidentally turned it way up.
Well, I was just saying,
Sorry.
what you were experiencing and fighting, that flow is very similar to the Nietzschean master mentality, where there is no forethought before an action. The action is just a result of your character. It's an expression of who you are. Whereas for the slave mentality, it comes as reactionary to the actions of the master. It's like someone forcing you, like it's the difference between a fight naturally breaking out and you just know what to do versus you starting a fight because of something that someone else already did and then it engages.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
could.
eliminates the second nature of things, and that's a problem that Westerners in this day and age face constantly. There's always this either morality or cultural pressure, something that preempts your natural action, and that's very frustrating for humans.
Yeah, I can see the point there. Yeah,
Mm.
no, and I think that the fight definitely like sort of it eliminates those things as soon as the fight breaks out. You know,
Yeah,
it's just I think about what makes sense to do in the moment.
exactly.
You know, it's
Exactly.
not. I have no other concerns other than my sort of you're sort of I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of your natural concern for your well being and not getting punched.
Yeah,
You know.
you're entering that meditative flow state where you just there is no prior thought. You just know what you have to do.
Mhm.
Like, which is really the goal of meditation in a lot of senses. It's not to turn off the mind, it's to allow all emotions and thoughts to arise naturally without judgment.
Okay.
So you're not really controlling the mind so much as you're becoming a non-judgmental observer. And that's kind of what meditation's all about.
See, I've tried to meditate before. I just don't have the patience for meditation, I guess, or whatever. It's
It
just
takes a lot, dude.
yeah. I mean, I imagine you have actually successfully meditated before because you're a very
I've taken multiple classes on it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was something I used to do in my free time. Not junior year, like sophomore year.
Do you think it would be fair to describe you as a spiritual, not necessarily religious, but a spiritual guy?
Yeah, I'm someone who can comment on the human spirit for sure.
Okay, because I mean, I feel like if I was like on death row, you know, knock on wood,
Yeah.
I don't commit crimes. But if I was on death row, you know, and I had to have someone come in as a spiritual guide, you might be towards the top of the list for that.
Dude, if I got put into solitary confinement, it wouldn't be an issue for me.
Oh, I would lose my mind.
I could just sit there meditating for days, months, years on end.
I would lose my fucking mind.
I would probably lose my mind too, but I was never trying to hold on to it to begin with.
No, I'd be
That's the difference.
if I was cut off from all social connection, I'd be one of the guys that's like writing on the wall or something. You know,
Writing with your own feces on the wall.
No, just you, like grow out my nails so I could carve a friend on the wall and we
Jesus.
talk.
Oh my god!
I don't know. I could not be cut off from social connection for that because I'm a very very social guy.
That for whatever reason that gave me some weird flashback. I forgot what show it was, or Oh, it was American Dad. At some point, the alien Roger, he goes to jail for a long ass time, and it shows a montage of him going more and more crazy, and eventually he's wearing a like a crown made of toilet paper, and he's marching around in the room. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, okay, so do you watch Vsauce at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you watched his like?
Well, which of the channels? Because there's like 3 Vsauces.
I watched the main one, the one with Michael.
Yeah,
yeah. So he has this show called Minefield.
yeah.
Did you see the one on isolation?
No, I only saw the first episode. I think
He goes into this. I've watched a few of the episodes. They're pretty good. They're high production quality.
It's interesting. I just didn't have YouTube Red at the time.
Oh,
so I only had access to the first one.
It's YouTube Premium now.
Oh, yeah, whatever it is now.
Yeah, but which I got. That's great. But he goes into a sensory deprivation cell. Like it's all white. He's wearing white clothing. The food is tasteless and white.
Oh, I think I saw a trailer for that.
Yeah, he's only in there for 3 days, but it drives him insane, man. Like you need something to enact with your senses, which is why I think that like solitary confinement is so cruel.
It is. And what does it accomplish?
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole question of the prison system. Is it supposed to be punitive or is it supposed to be reformative? Are we trying to create better citizens or are we just here to punish the wicked?
Well, and like also like in the name it's called it was federal, I guess it's federal penitentiary system, but it's supposed to be a reforming system. I mean, the original idea of penitentiaries was that so do you know about the like original penitentiaries and how fucked up they were?
Mm-mm.
So they were supposed to be reforming, but it was the 19th century and people were stupid.
Yeah.
So they all had glass roofs and you sat in there alone and they had glass roofs so that you could look to God. And it drove people insane, but the original idea was supposed to reform people. That's why we moved away from like crueler forms of punishment.
Yeah, Michel Foucault in his History of Crime and Punishment talks about this a lot. How originally crime and punishment started as a top-down measure from the societal elites to show that any transgression against them and their operations was to be met with corporeal punishment. Then around like the mid 1800s, going into the 1900s, it started to switch more to a reformative method. But like you were saying, with the windows that are on top of the cell so that God could see them, that concept of the Panopticon came back to where you'll see in a bunch of prisons, they have a central watchtower. And then the cells all face the central watchtower. So that it's not that this prisoner is actually being watched at that given moment. It's that they can be watched at any time. And whether it's the warden or God watching over you, that constant fear that you're being watched and judged is what was supposed to reform people.
Yeah.
And the Panopticon still exists to this day. I mean, go into Walmart or Target, you'll notice that there aren't security guards standing around, but there are cameras everywhere. And there's no guarantee someone's watching the camera at that time, but the mere concept of being watched at all times is enough to get people to do the right thing.
And so
quote unquote right.
And I think penitentiary comes from the same thing. They both have the root pent, 5, where it'd be 5, it'd be a spoke and then 5 things coming out from the spoke.
Yeah.
But sort of related to what you were saying about cameras, in Home Depots they have cameras that have a screen with them, and the screen shows you, and then it cuts to stock footage of somebody watching like on a screen or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's next level.
I was at Home Depot once, which I find to be a very dystopian store because they also advertise the Home Depot over the speakers, which seems weird to me because I'm already at Home Depot. I'm clearly already someone who shops at Home Depot. But I watched it for a little while as it would cut back to like images. It was 2 different stock videos of somebody watching a screen that you presume is them watching the cameras.
Next level.
But I watched it for a while and I started like doing things on the camera that would like if someone is actually watching, it wouldn't be like concerning. I wasn't like stealing things or anything.
Just like waving at them.
Yeah, or like doing like weird stuff to try and get their attention. and it was like the same person sitting in the same position for a
Oh,
long time. There's nobody watching.
dude, that's next level.
Yeah.
Last time I noticed this, there was just the camera and then a sign saying "Smile, you're being
You're being
watched,"
watched. Yeah.
which I thought was more than enough. But to show a fake person watching
watching
in
two
tandem,
fake people watching me.
that's the Panopticon at work.
Yeah, that I find very, very creepy. Like how much society wants to convince you they're watching you.
First it was the Catholic Church that really came around with this idea.
Yeah.
Though honestly, you can trace it all the way back to the Judeo-Christian origins.
But also, I think that a healthy fear of God is a good thing. I think there is a healthy fear of God.
See, that's the thing. I didn't need to go to church as a kid to develop a moral system. I've always been a philosopher to that degree, but I do understand that for most people, hedonism just makes sense. Do what is in my best benefit. I mean, that's our evolutionary driver at work, really.
Well, see, I would question how much of your morality didn't come from ethicality, right? Like you grew up in a Judeo-Christian society,
and
at a certain point, your parents told you what right and wrong was.
I also outright rejected that at like 10 years old when I read the entire Bible.
Yeah, sure, but like you still grew up within that framework. Your thoughts and beliefs are still in some way a reflection of that.
Sure. Yeah,
was prehistoric man before the invention or the creation of theology morally good? Were they able to come up with morals? Any of them?
There was probably people who acted in certain ways. Because the thing that really drives me is I'm a social contractarian. I feel like the social contract, which really goes all the way back to, treat others the way you want to be treated, the golden rule.
Well, so are you?
That's just something that just makes sense to me. I'm not out here to hurt people to my own benefit. That's never a good thing for me.
So now we're getting into the debates about human nature, which I imagine Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau.
Yeah.
Which I benefit here from. I've also read Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. When you say social contractarian, do you mean in a Lockean sense or Rousseauian sense?
Pretty sure the Rousseauian sense.
See, I'm way more for Locke. I agree with Locke's general idea that there is sort of the right rule of reason and there's the law of nature, that we all understand these basic rules and that you get these rules through rationality, right? Yeah. But that we need a government, we need a society, some sort of system for a magistrate. Because, if let's say you and me, if someone stole our soundboard here, you and I would have much worse ideas about what should happen to them than what would be reasonable.
Sure.
So you need a third indifferent party to decide what should happen.
Yeah, I mean,
but like the Rousseauian sense, like the idea of the general will, I don't believe in a general will. I can't see people as a collective ever.
Yeah, I mean, for all people, probably not. But that's why we break down into specific societies and friend groups, right? To have more people around us who represent our beliefs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see your point. Because also, another reason I have an aversion to Rousseauianism, well, okay, I guess this is the historic reason,
Yeah.
When Rousseauianism is put into practice, it ends poorly.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, it's like, I think the simplest way to look at Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau is Hobbes said that humans were immoral, Locke said that humans were amoral, and Rousseau said that humans were moral. I entirely believe that humans are amoral. It's not that we're good or bad. It's just that we're just doing what is in our best interest.
Yeah, maybe it's just from personal experience. Like, I'm not a psychopath. I really don't understand bettering yourself at all cost of those around you. That just
doesn't absolutely not
resonate with me.
No,
it's hard for me to feel like anyone really does think that way. Even the most villainous CEO who just destroys the environment to make better profits, they probably are imagining some moral benefit for themselves. I don't know.
I've known people that had, like, to some degree, it's sort of like a spectrum ASPD, antisocial personality disorder.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just they can dissociate other people from being like themselves.
How many of those people are out there? It's
Well,
like when I,
supposedly 5% of the population are sociopaths and 1% of the population are psychopaths.
it's like when we went to McDonald's and I was talking about how there's this phenomenon called aphantasia. If the listeners haven't heard of this, aphantasia literally means a life without mental images. So people who are aphantagic can't imagine. They can imagine things, but they're not seeing a clear picture in their mind. And just like that, there's also a spectrum in internal monologues. Because some people have internal monologues, some people have internal dialogues, some people have multiple groups of people who represent their different, multiple identities that represent their different feelings and emotions. Some people, though, have zero dialogue. There's people who are both heavily aphantagic and have zero dialogue. What is going on in there? How is a decision made if it can't be envisioned and there's no debate going on?
Yeah.
Like, either that's
purely on instinct.
Either that's a Nietzschean master, right? Either that's someone who totally acts upon their character. There's no forethought, literally no forethought. Or that's a total monster.
Or that's an idiot. I mean, it could just be an idiot.
Another option, that's the most normal person out there. Someone who's not driven by other things. They're just themselves. Period.
I think that person would be an idiot.
Problem.
I'm sorry. That person would be stupid. That person would actually be stupid.
I mean, maybe.
Okay, so on the internal dialogue spectrum, where do you land? Because you did say that you mentioned that you had, what was it called? Aphasia?
Aphantasia.
Aphantasia. Yeah, aphasia that's something else.
Aphasia is when you can't think
speak.
of certain words.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So
so for me, it's mostly an internal monologue. It's just me thinking about what I want to think about.
Okay, because
in first person.
I have like an entire like congress of sort of people who represent different thoughts in my head.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
It's a fairly normal thing where it's just like there's probably like 10 people arguing about,
which is
and
weird.
10 is like if it's a really tough decision.
Why do we accept monologue and a bunch of identities as more or less normal, but no monologue is just outlandish? No log at all.
That sounds scary to me. It's like before I do anything, I have an internal debate about what it is I should do.
Yeah, we were just saying how hard it is to go 30 seconds and not think of how you fill that time.
Yeah.
But what if you're not thinking about that?
Yeah.
Like not thinking. I mean, it's not thinking, period. It's some process going on.
Yeah, there's some sort of processing going on in the brain, but it's not in any way. It's because I guess like monologue, it's not a debate at that point, but there's a script going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like two friends talking where they're like, well, yeah, this is a good idea, but it could be tweaked in this way.
Monologue would be one person speaking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, monologue. Like an internal dialogue for a lot of people. It's not two sides fighting each other unless you have like severe depression or something.
Yeah.
It's usually, here's something. Well, here's my other side's take on this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so weird to have like there isn't any, because it's not a lack of a thought process. It's a lack of a linguistic or verbal, not really verbal, but you know what I mean, kind of thought process going on there. I can't imagine that,
I literally can't imagine that.
My brain can't wrap itself around that.
Which is weird because I know what it's like to not be able to envision things in your mind. Like it's weird.
See, I can't.
Because it doesn't affect memory. Like I still know I can recognize your face in a crowd. I can recognize my mom's face in a crowd. I could not draw you from memory, nor my mother. In fact, I can't draw.
I'm actually looking away from you to think if I can think of your face still. Yeah, I can still think of your face. Yeah.
Like the reason all my artwork is so abstract and is mostly line work is because I cannot envision solid objects as they exist in the natural world. It's weird.
That's very, I can't wrap my head around, because I think I talked to you about the time about I tend to think a lot in like geometry. Like whenever I have to envision a problem, I think of like a shape to go along with that problem.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of my thought processes come from like image rendering in my head.
Yeah.
You know, so I cannot imagine a thought process that relies in no way
it is
on image rendering.
heavily conceptual. My mind is like opening up a file drawer.
That's because it's still conceptual for me. It's just like it's like a diagram. It's not. Very few words need to be used. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where using as many words as possible, I can't wrap my head around that.
It's why I think it's part of why English classes, like writing classes, were so difficult for me in middle school. Because part of being able to be expressive about what you're writing is like they'll tell you to close your eyes, envision an apple, and write all the details you think of for an apple. For me, I'm not seeing an apple. I am going through the folder and I know that an apple's red. I know an apple has a kind of roundish shape. I know an apple usually has a little leaf at the top. Those details are coming out of the file cabinet. I'm not seeing a picture of an apple.
See, I couldn't draw an apple because I suck at art, but I can envision an apple perfectly in my head. That's so weird.
I can't do that.
If you say apple, instantly, like that sort of, this might not even make sense to you, but that shape that sort of goes like that, where it has like a little bump at the top and bump at the bottom. I can see like the light on it and everything, and see the reddish color where it's sort of like line streaks going down it. I can see like the entire thing of an apple in my head. It's just very weird to me that, like, you know, I'm not trying to like criticize you or be like, you know, your thought processes suck or anything.
No,
like
it's just totally different.
Yeah,
radically
it's just
different.
Yeah, it's just something that's still less foreign to me than the idea of somebody who doesn't have a dialogue going on in their head.
Yeah, having no monologue, no dialogue.
Because I don't know how you think then.
That is the question, right? What is a thought when it's not thunking?
Because maybe it's because I'm on like the opposite side of the spectrum, where it's like there are a lot of different sides going on in my internal dialogue, you know? So it's like none? What? Like I
guess
can't...
it would be a pluralogue.
Plural or a polylog?
A polylog, a pluralogue, something like that.
It's like there's, you know, whenever I have to make a decision that's important, it'll be like 5 different sides of my head having like a debate about it. Which I don't want to sound like a crazy person.
No,
but
I mean,
I feel like that's kind of normal.
It is.
You know?
It is.
Yeah.
Somewhere between a monologue and a polylog is pretty normal.
Yeah.
What isn't normal
but
does exist is alogs.
Yeah. That
is as a philosopher, that is incredibly interesting to me.
You have to have ASPD, right? Like, I guess I guess I could feel empathy for people without having to have a conversation about empathy with myself. I guess I kind of like, you know, when I see someone get hurt, I feel bad for them before I think or have a dialogue about feeling bad. We need to find a person like that and have them on the show. I just want to talk to that guy.
That person probably has no idea what aphantasia is or what's normal, you know?
Or they probably have no idea what a dialogue is.
Yeah.
Like I find it incredibly difficult to think about aphantasia. They would probably find it incredibly difficult to think about dialogue.
They probably
internal
think
dialogue.
They probably think your mind is chaos, constant noise and sounds.
Yeah, because I guess comparably, because I think it kind of just levels out, but to them it must be like that's too much going on.
Probably, you know, they just go through their day never knowing otherwise.
That's so weird, man.
It is very weird.
That is so weird.
Yeah, we got to see if we can find someone with aphantasia.
Or no, aphantasia is what you got. We already have someone with aphantasia.
Both aphantasia and
alog. That would be impossible to find. That's got to be a really rare segment of the population.
They're out there.
It's not the kind of person that would listen to a podcast.
I don't know.
Doesn't seem like they would.
I don't know.
Well, maybe just get some thoughts going on there.
Because like I was saying earlier, like my mind just the past week has just been blank for the most part, just static. It's weird. I'll listen to a podcast or something while I'm gaming to not hear the static, to not hear the emptiness. It's weird. It's very weird.
See, I never have nothing going on in my mind, which is actually why I think I have like insomnia issues, is because like there's always kind of a lot going. It's not like bad, but there's always like a lot going on upstairs.
Do you have tinnitus?
What is tinnitus?
Tinnitus is hearing a ringing sound. Not loud like a bell, but just imagine tuning into the background radiation of the universe and you just hear static.
So I get no, for short. But I do like when I hear a sound on repeat for a long time, and this might just be a normal thing that happens to everybody, but I'll hear it like after the sound has gone away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's a normal thing?
That's
Okay.
normal. That's normal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I don't have tinnitus, no. Why, is that common with someone who's got thoughts that go on a lot?
I honestly don't know what the correlation between a philosophical mindset and tinnitus is. Some people develop it from head injuries. Some people, like,
I wouldn't say I have a philosophical mindset. I just have a busy mindset. A lot of the times the conversation's stupid. Sometimes it's about like, ooh, if I was in Star Wars, would I be Jedi or Sith?
Yeah. No, but with tinnitus, it's like, there's never total. I don't know what total silence sounds like.
Do you have tinnitus?
Yes.
Oh.
No, it's not severe. It's never totally quiet. I'm always hearing some background radiation. And I say radiation because when someone turns on a TV in a totally different room, I can hear that. I can hear like the electron pulse or whatever. I'm hearing the change in the magnetic frequency around me, something along those lines.
I can do that, but that's just because my hearing is like stupid good. Like it's annoyingly good.
But I mean, I'm hearing something that I'm not
that isn't there.
Hearing, you know?
That's very weird.
Like I can I have no idea how it works.
So when you say radiation, I think of like a Geiger counter.
Well, any type of radiation is just light, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, anything on sort of a wavelength spectrum is to some degree radiation. It's just not deadly.
Which, if you want to learn more about radiation, there's this guy I've been watching. I think he's the Illinois energy professor on YouTube. Dude just makes a bunch of videos about thorium reactors, about different types of radiation. It's actually really interesting. Did you know that one of the ways that foods get cleaned before they're stored for a long time is either through a whole bunch of harsh chemicals or by irradiating it? It's so common, in fact, that there's a specific packaging logo you can look for to see if your food has been irradiated.
I actually knew they did that with eggs.
What they do with a lot of foods.
I knew that you could buy like irradiated eggs that were like you can eat a raw egg and it doesn't have salmonella in it.
And the thing is, irradiated food is not an issue. It's not radiation which irradiates you. It's neutrons specifically.
Yeah.
So when these foods are being blasted with like gamma rays, beta rays, alpha rays, whatever they're using to it's actually usually gamma rays that they use to irradiate foods, all it does is kill every bacteria on the thing, and it's just left normal but irradiated, clean but irradiated.
But also you can every bit of organic material has some level of background radiation.
Oh, but humans eat lots of bananas, and potassium is radioactive.
Is very radioactive, and carbon. A certain percentage of all carbon is radioactive. I mean,
yeah,
we are made we're mostly made of water.
Radioactivity, for the most part, is pretty poorly understood by the general public.
Oh yeah,
it's not as dangerous as you think. But you should also know where the danger specifically lies.
Yeah, do you know about the elephant's foot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the melted, like, ceramic and remains of the core in Chernobyl that melted through the floor.
Yeah, and looks like an elephant's foot.
It's one of the craziest pictures ever. You saw the picture of the faded picture of the dude standing next to it?
Yeah, who died.
The camera was standing still. That fading came from the massive amounts of radiation in the room.
Yeah, and the guy standing next to it died.
Yeah.
If you stand in that room, the room with it, for more than 30 seconds, like death is almost certain.
Yeah. Yeah. When it was first formed, it was like 30 seconds. I think now you can be in there for like up to 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Not that you should.
Oh, so you can hang out there, play a quick game.
But it's becoming, due to the half-life of radioactivity, is becoming less and less radioactive over time.
But it'll take before it's safe to be around, it'll be 3,000 years.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's still terrifying. you know. But I'd love to go on one of those tours of Chernobyl.
Yeah, dude. See the irradiated fish and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because there are tour packages to go see Chernobyl.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because there's lots of areas that are still safe.
Yeah,
You know,
you can walk around a lot of areas, no problem.
it's just don't get too close to the reactors. You know.
What you really need to do in an irradiated setting is wear a mask of some sort. It's the dust that carries
really?
so much of the radiation. Yeah.
So I imagine you also know about this, but do you know about the experiments that we were doing with the radioactive cores? Like there was one radioactive core we had left over after World War II that we were going to make into a bomb, but we didn't, and they were trying to see what's it called when you cover up the core, it goes
supercriticality.
Yeah, they were
You're
trying
talking about the demon core, right?
Yes, yeah. When they were trying to study supercriticality, and not once but twice, they were not being safe with it, which is stupid. And they were using like a screwdriver.
They were wedging it open with a screwdriver.
And twice they dropped it and closed and was going to go critical. And a scientist had to put their hand on it and take it off for a second. Second, and it killed both of them.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Like supercriticality incidents can happen in a lot of weird different ways. Like there was one incident where the reactor itself was fine. It was the waste products in this massive slurry that they were keeping that for whatever reason they didn't know that by mixing the slurry you would actually get more and more neutron interactions inside of the slurry. And the scientist in the room said that most of them had their backs turned to the mixing silo, but the one dude who was working over it saw this bright flash of blue light.
Yeah, which is how you know it's going supercritical.
Yeah, that's how you know. That's God, what a scary thing. Because if you notice that, you have a matter of weeks at the most to live.
Best you have a matter. And it's like the fact that it literally glows blue.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, that's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a literal sheen of death with that going critical.
Yeah, man. It's so scary working with radioactive stuff.
So you know the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated, Tsar Bomba?
Yeah.
So it was detonated on that long, thin island, sort of like the northwest of Russia.
Yeah.
Can you go on that island yet?
That's a good question. It was the Tsar Bomba was 50 megatons, right?
Yeah.
Did you know it was supposed to be 100 megatons? But even the Soviets were like, let's scale it down a little bit.
Yeah, that seems like a
test.
Bit much, you know? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, dude, that is a huge explosive.
Yeah, supposedly in like villages, like hundreds of miles away from the island, the windows broke.
Yeah, dude. It was the Tsar Bomba was the largest nuclear bomb ever made, but there were some experimental bombs that had higher yields per amount of fissile material in them.
Okay.
So it was a huge bomb, a big nuke, but not the most nukey of nukes, shall we say?
Or maybe you could call that like explosive density.
Sure.
It's a word I'm making up.
Sure.
But
that's a good word for it.
Yeah, it wasn't. So I'm wondering, like, if you had like the same volume but a greater yield, how fucking dangerous could that bomb be? I don't want to know.
Dangerous enough for the Soviet Union and the U.S. at the height of the war to be like, let's not even test that.
Yeah, that sounds.
Let's just not even do that.
Let's just imagine what would happen.
I mean, these were the guys crazy enough to detonate nukes in space. You heard about how much damage that did, right?
That's how we learned what an EMT was.
EMP,
electromagnetic pulse. Yeah. I mean, because they started testing them in space, which then they realized, like, oh wait, no, that's worse.
Which we should never do it near Earth, but I would love to see a nuclear test in space because like
on the other side of the moon or something, so it can hit us.
Yeah, but what is so iconic about the nuke is the mushroom cloud and that very specific formation it makes. But that only occurs underneath gravitational forces, right? So apparently a nuke out in space looks like a rainbow of waves of color just emanating from the source. It's apparently very beautiful.
I'd imagine. Yeah, I mean, sort of like how supernovas are gorgeous,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
from very, 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 very far away.
Yeah.
They're only gorgeous from a really, really good distance, you
Oh,
know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, apparently North Korea has been doing more nuclear testing. Apparently they're focusing on a new ICBM,
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
which a lot of bark, but where's the bite? North Korea doesn't do anything other
Well,
than look like a bad kid.
I mean, also, people call, like, Kim Jong-un, like, unhinged and irrational and dangerous.
I
If you
don't,
think about it from his perspective,
everything seems pretty rational from his side of things.
yeah, it's like, if given the opportunity, the entire world would kill you.
Yeah.
Like, if given the, if it wasn't for, like, the massive amounts of human suffering you could create if they attempted to, they would kill you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not acting morally or ethically, but he's acting rationally, certainly.
Though certainly Kim Il Sung wasn't acting morally, but Kim Jong Il and then Kim Jong Un, they were raised from that dictator mentality. This is like affluenza times a billion,
Yeah.
right? So how responsible can we hold someone who literally knows nothing else?
I would hope that there's some sort of like base human.
Now we're getting back to that.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting back to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's come full circle.
It has.
I'm telling you right now that Kim Jong Un is going to be on the title card just because I think he looks funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd hope that there's something that like just base human nature tells you that that's wrong.
You would think, but
You know, it's like putting people in prison camps.
when
When
you're told that your father never took a dump in his life because he was so perfect and you were born of the same ilk.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't believe that. Come on, there's no way he also believed that. He knew that was propaganda.
Dude, it is propaganda is the facts over there, right?
But that can't be true for like the upper echelons of the government. That's for the people.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, George Orwell, the inner party knows what's really going on.
Sure.
You know, whereas the outer party and what was the lowest one called, the proles?
Yeah.
They don't know what the fuck's going on, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. Think how deep that goes in North Korea. It's a very interesting case study.
We have no way of knowing, you know? I mean, I love to watch those documentaries about like people going into North Korea.
Oh yeah.
Like Viceland has a few of them about that.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Very
Scary, but also like even ignoring like the horrors of the North Korean government. Just odd.
Dude,
to see like a Stalinist state.
Did you see that Vice documentary about the North Korean labor camps in Siberia?
Yes, I have.
That was
odd. Yeah.
These people for them a vacation is taking 5 minutes to take a smoke.
Yeah.
The concept of not going to work for any extended period of time is not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
you get to sleep at night,
really.
you know? Yeah, it's actually sort of appalling that still happens in the world today, but I mean,
to recreate a little slice of the Hermit Kingdom farther up north.
That's and they also had some in China, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's fucking terrifying, you know?
It's so weird, yeah.
It's so weird that that's still like Stalinism is still around. There's just this one little hermit kingdom that still follows it as
gospel, more or less.
Yeah, it's like literally the state ideology, you know? Yeah.
Dude, this is another thing. I ended up watching a video on people with disabilities in dictatorships across the world. And in Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, you are not allowed to be seen on the streets if you're disabled. In fact, you're not allowed within the city. Period.
Really?
Yeah. They want to produce, because Pyongyang is essentially the only place in North Korea that gets filmed. So they want to put off this air of everyone being perfectly healthy, kind of like what they do with the guards at the DMZ.
Yeah.
how for those guards, they'll only pick the tallest and healthiest of them.
And they'll feed them well.
Yeah, to
they'll be
give
treated
off an
very well.
image of strength, right?
Yeah.
So in Pyongyang, disabled people are not allowed to be seen on the streets. And this is something that also extends into China to some degree. Not that disabled people can't be seen around the streets in Beijing or any other city, but there's a huge social stigma against it. So anyone bound to a wheelchair is usually kept at home for the rest of their life. It's kind of really sad. Yeah.
See, the thing with North Korea, who do they think they're fooling? Like,
that is the question, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't look at like the North Korean border guards and go like, oh, well, that must be a very stable, good country. The system must be really working because
Yeah.
I have Western news. I know that to not be the case. Like,
Yeah.
who do they think they're fooling?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but they're putting in the work to fool no one.
Did you hear this? Have you like? I watched like a full documentary about the one guy who was born in and escaped a North Korean prison camp.
No,
I think it was Camp 13. The man talked about like when he escaped, and he got to Mongolia and he started eating like for the first like real food as much as he wanted for the first time in his entire life.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that hunger wasn't a constant.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like he had never not been hungry before. He had watched both of his parents be executed at the camp and just
kept working.
Yeah, it was just
what else do you know?
It's just that's what happens. It's life.
Oh, that's straight up slavery. He was born into the prison camp and immediately became part of the working population.
It's weird to say that like something is worse than slavery, but it was worse than slavery. It was so unbelievable. They get fed like 2 balls of cornmeal a day.
It's like a gulag, but it's the standard for citizens. That's just the norm.
Yeah, because you're born into generational. In North Korea, there are generational punishments.
Yeah.
So like treason, which is a lot of things in North Korea, is 3 generations of punishment, and he was the 2nd generation, or no, he was the 3rd generation of punishment.
Yeah, dude, that is sick.
So not only was he born in a prison camp, both of his parents had been born in a prison camp.
Yeah, dude, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
Like I remember back during AP Euro in 11th grade, I read A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He's like this
same guy who wrote the something archipelago.
Yeah, he's like a famous Russian existentialist.
Yeah.
It's a 500, 600 page book that just follows a single day inside of a gulag, from him waking up at 3 a.m. so he could find the driest pair of wet socks to wear.
Oh, wow.
From him hiding scraps of the ends of the bread like within his pillowcase, because that was the only safe place for food to be kept. It would have been punished if it was found anywhere else. It's a work of art. It's a great book.
Yeah, I believe it.
God,
also
is it
terrifying.
Depressing.
Yeah. Because I remember I read Night by Elie Wiesel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And also there's another famous Holocaust book that I had to read in high school, which was so long ago now that I don't remember it. And like those are both terrifying, but they don't follow one day. They follow the entire experience, you know?
Yeah, this is just one day. What it takes to survive a single day within a gulag.
That's terrifying, man.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
So he also wrote the Gulag Archipelago as well, right?
I think so.
He's the one that talked about like the people that really were sort of re-educated, so to speak. It was like there was a crank on their back, and you could just crank it, and they would just spit out the same party propaganda as everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it eventually just convinces you that that's what is right. You know, you will not think freely.
The repetition of lies, given enough time, becomes truth.
Yeah, Stalin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, like Solzhenitsyn, he, as a political dissident, once he got out of the Gulag, he got poisoned by the Russian government. A lot like Alexei Navalny, who was recently poisoned by the Russian government. Oh,
was that the Democratic leader, or was that the leader of Ukraine?
Navalny was like he's an anti-corruption activist in Russia, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who did all that drone footage looking at Putin's massive, multi-million-dollar estate on the side of the Black Sea.
Okay.
Does a lot of good work, a lot of good journalistic work.
Um, you hear the story about the leader of the Democratic Party of Russia? A warrant went out for his arrest, and he was outside of the country at the time. And he thought that he'd make a big political show of it by going back to Russia, and they wouldn't actually arrest him.
Oh no!
Because he's like the leader of like the largest democratic opposition to Russia, United Russia.
Sounds like the biggest target to me.
Yeah. And so he went back expecting like, oh, he'd get arrested, and he'd be like Nelson Mandela, and people would be like, oh yeah, free him and everything. He just got arrested and disappeared.
Yeah, dude.
Which is also sort of like a satirical comedy, like from a certain perspective, like
yeah,
like it's like that sounds like something Mr. Bean would do.
It does. It does.
Like it's actually kind of hilarious.
In fact, I could see a Sacha Baron Cohen comedy about that, about a ridiculous activist who can't see what's actually going on.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I will return. They will not arrest me."
Kind of like the opposite of The Life of Brian.
Yeah, sort of
I
like
could see that as a film.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah, where you're delusional instead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, The Life of Brian, the scene where you just got me thinking about it.
Dude, it's so good.
It is hilarious.
So good.
Everything by Monty Python was fucking great.
But this specifically, to me, it stands out. It's up there with Flying Circus.
Well, like when he says, "You are all individuals," and they say, "We are all individuals," and the one guy says, well, I'm not. It's the one guy says, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
The only individual in the crowd.
He gets so fed up with them. He just tells them to fuck off. And they're like, how Lord should we fuck off? Like, oh my God. It's such potent satire. And it's not even specifically anti-religious. It takes a look at all kinds of political groups and how group mentality is really what's being criticized there.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was in any way aggressive to religion, Yeah,
it took a lot of flack when it came out for the anti-Christian aspect, but looking deeper, it's not specifically anti-Christian. It's about organized religions, organized politics, organization in general.
Yeah, as a Christian person,
what it does to the human psyche.
As a Christian person, when I watched it, I didn't feel like personally insulted.
No, when I saw it as a kid, I didn't feel like it was particularly anti-Christian.
Well, did you see the follow-up sketch they made about it after they got all the criticism about it being anti-Christian?
Was it their 2011? There was a movie they made in 2011, which was
it wasn't a movie; it was just a skit. But sorry,
continue. Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, so they're sitting around with a priest, and it's like a priest of the Church of Monty Python. Of Pythonism is what they call it.
Yeah.
And there's another guy, played by the guy who plays Mr. Bean, whose name I can't remember.
Rowan Atkinson,
who's playing like the creator of this film called The Life of Jesus. And it's basically juxtaposing like how ridiculous the whole thing against them was. And one of the best lines is this Jesus Christ character, I mean, is clearly a blatant ripoff of Python. I mean, Jesus Christ, JC, the same initials as our Lord and Savior John Cleese.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently in 2011 they did another film that was just a critique of the whole debate that happened regarding the Life of Brian and its critique. It was like they did a parody interview movie, but it's just they blow up. They make. It's basically a bunch of straw men going to war with each other.
Yeah,
as a way to criticize the critique of the film. Yeah, it's interesting.
Here's a tangential point, which is sort of my thing on this podcast, is making tangential points. What do you think? Okay, what the fuck has happened to spoof movies? Why are none of them good anymore?
Dude, I just last night I watched like an hour and a half video on this. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Essentially, wow. I mean, what led to the downfall of it wasn't the scary movie films, as you might think. It was when
the later ones were pretty ass.
Well, that's because the Wayans brothers left the crew that was making the scary movie films.
Okay, I'm not familiar with them.
Like Marlon and Damon Wayans, I think them and their brother, if I remember correctly, created In Living Color, which got really big.
Okay.
Watch a bunch of people's careers. And then they went into making satirical movies, like How Not to Be a Menace in the Hood. Have you ever seen that movie?
I'm familiar with the one scene from that movie.
It's a classic. It's a classic. But that really launched them into doing other films, and eventually they teamed up with. I'm forgetting the directors. The acronym for the like 4 directors was ZAZ or whatever, but they were the group that really started making parodies in the 70s, who eventually got Airplane greenlit, who launched Leslie Nielsen into his comedy career.
And then like the last good spoof movie I can really think of is Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Or Naked Gun 2.5.
Yeah. God, yeah, there's some funny scenes from those movies. But essentially, I thought as far as spoof movies go, the first couple scary movies were actually hilarious.
I remember 2 being really good. Yeah.
I love the first like 3, 4 of those. But then
because I remember in 2, you get the line, I know what you're thinking. Did I fire 5 shots or 329? The truth is, I lost count myself. That had me geeking,
dude. It was those films. We should give those a rewatch because those are really good.
Yeah, I think I saw the second one.
Dude, we should
and
do it for
the 6th and 7th.
We should do it for a Halloween special.
Yes.
Chain watch the scary movie franchise all through the day.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
and we just have to have like rolling commentary about it.
Oh yeah, dude. But essentially what happened is the Wayans brothers left, and they were kind of the heart of the scary movie films, at which point spoof movies just became really obnoxious, and above all, really mean. Like, spoof movies up to the mid-2000s, you know, they'd poke and prod, they'd make fun of some things, they'd call on some celebrities, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
After the Wayans brothers left, and the scary movie franchise went to shit, they just got very pessimistic and mean. The characters in them weren't bumbling fools, you know, it wasn't a fish out of water kind of parody. It was, how can we make these people as mean and sarcastic and angry as possible for whatever reason? It became very cynical.
Because there was that one spoof movie that came out, it was called like Movie 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was just like, I did not see it, but I heard it was just...
Was that a Friedman and Seltzer production?
I have no idea.
Because they were like these 2 guys who...
I'm aware of Friedman and Seltzer. I'm aware...
They did Vampires Suck. They did Not Another Teen Movie, Epic Movie, Date Movie, all the garbage that came after Scary Movie died out.
I have seen none of those, but I know that... I know that's like, if you want to name 2 bad directors, boom.
Yeah, Friedman and Seltzer. Or D&D. David Weiss and Benioff. I'm forgetting the guys who made the Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
those guys.
Well, I mean, it was really good until the last season. I didn't even watch it. I had friends who watched it, and they were watching last season, talking about how terrible it was. So I just watched the last episode, and without even knowing the context of the show, I was like, yeah, this was bad.
Yeah. Which is incredible to me, dude, because the first 2, maybe like even the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones are some of the best TV I've ever seen. But there was a very clear switch when it stopped being about smart characters having interesting interactions, and it just became, how can we move from one set piece to the next?
Oh, you know? Okay, yeah.
They Michael Bay'd it.
Yeah.
They Michael Bay'd it. It's the best way to put it.
Were there plenty of explosions, though?
You saw the last episode. There was tons of explosions.
Where he melts the Iron Throne, and I'm like, wasn't that the whole? Wasn't that the whole like?
Look at this dragon. MacGuffin? Look at this dragon making its smart political commentary. It's a dragon. It's an animal. Why did any of whatever? It's just. The more I think about it, the more heated I'm getting.
We need to put smart in like really big quotes there. It's not, oh, no man should have that much power. Isn't like an intelligent political comment, you know?
Yeah, it's the most obvious things. And that's what sucks. Game of Thrones wasn't obvious when it started. I was constantly caught off guard, you know?
Because I know it had like a sort of maybe a whole stereotype about like they were like the only show willing to kill off main characters.
There was no plot armor in the beginning. Yeah. I mean, kids were getting murked in the first season.
Yeah, I've seen the scene where the one guy who like thinks he's about to be like made the king They cover him in molten gold.
Oh, Jesus. They give him a crown of gold.
Yeah.
Which, badass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was
sweet metaphor.
hard scene to watch, but also, like, badass. You know?
Yeah, as far as melting things go, that's much better than the dragon melting the throne.
Okay, can I recommend a show to you and also put you on the spot because we're live?
Go
or
ahead.
we're not live, but this is going to be published.
Yeah.
Best TV I've ever watched that's like, you know, it's still narrative based. One of the best shows I've ever watched is Fargo.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I saw the movie. I really like the movie. Never seen the show.
Yeah, they converted this. It's like the same like fake true crime because I mean you know that the movie is fake.
Yeah. Even though they put the based on a true story. Yeah,
and they do that in the show as well, and it like seems like something that could be plausible, except for the second season of the show. I'm not going to spoil it. The second season's the weakest season.
Okay.
Of the 4 seasons, none of them are connected to each other. They're all just different crime stories. But well, actually, okay.
Mind if I hit that?
Yeah. None of them are directly narratively connected to each other, but thus far, seasons 1, 3, and 4 have like a loose. No, wait. Seasons 1, 2, and 4 have like a loose connection to one another, which I'm not going to spoil for you at all. Actually,
Okay.
1 and 2 is pretty obvious what the connection is, but 4 is not obvious until like the very end when you're suddenly like, oh shit, that's how that connects to the other ones. But it's all about true crime and everything.
Nice.
And it is as good as the movie, but 10 hours long.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude,
I highly recommend it.
You ever see Lost?
I have not. My sister watched Lost and my father watched it with her. And I get a little pissed off by the idea of Lost, where it's just like it's not like they kind of wrote a story for the sake of it being a good story, but more so because they wrote it like, ooh, you didn't expect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, make your point about Lost. I'm not trying to shit on you if you like it.
I'm pretty sure the producer of Lost was J.J. Abrams, who is known for his mystery boxes that contain. What's that? Oh, nothing. My favorite. My favorite.
Oh, no. It's even better when it's like, oh, what's in there? Oh, it's another mystery box.
Oh. It's like a Matryoshka doll of bullshit.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
I've been watching this show Blacklist, which is it's sort of like about like a Whitey Bulger kind of character, but like way smarter than Whitey Bulger.
I would hope.
Yeah. Got sold out by his girlfriend. But like, you know, he's working with the FBI and there's all these like secrets, you know, surrounding. I'll spoil it because I don't think you're going to watch it ever. I wouldn't recommend it. But it's like, oh, they keep going back and forth. It's like, oh, is this FBI agent his daughter or not? Like, why did he turn himself into the FBI and start working with him and everything? And it keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And there's all these like little mysteries that don't get resolved for like 22 episodes, where it's not even like a huge like mystery. It's like 22 episodes to be like, does this character have a disease, you know? And it's you get so sick. I've gotten so sick of how much the mysteries have been drawn out that it's like I'm into almost done with season 5. There's only 7 seasons. And I'm like, I'm so tired of this. Do I even want to keep forcing myself to watch the last 2 seasons?
Now, interestingly, I didn't feel that with Lost.
Okay.
Like, it works. It first off, the first episode of Lost is incredible.
Okay.
It's really good as far as setting up a mystery, setting up a setting. It is fantastic. As like the mysteries within Lost, while there's very few hard answers at the end, you get enough of a feeling of the story building up throughout the seasons that it's watchable. I enjoyed it entirely all the way through.
Okay. I might have to give it a shot then.
It's cool. It's fun. You know, that was one of the first shows I binge watched. Like when my family just got Netflix, I watched all the way through Lost, and I was like, that was pretty good. Okay. I can see why people had problems with the ending, but I liked it.
I'm going to start. I'm watching The Wire right now, but as soon as I'm done with The Wire,
how far in are you?
Episode 4. So I'm watching with season 1, episode 4. I'm watching with my family, so like I can only watch like an episode a night because like I go to bed early, and my mother goes to bed early, and everything. Like if I was watching on my own, I could like probably watch half a season in a day. But it is actually kind of nice.
Honestly, I feel like that's the way to go about TV shows. They weren't launched, like shows that old weren't launched on the Netflix format of let's put a season out for everyone to binge watch once a year, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's actually what I originally wanted to talk about. I was just bringing up The Wire. That I was watching it.
Yeah.
Me and my dad have been going through this show called That Girl, um,
Huh.
which is the show that I can't remember her name, Marlo Thompson.
Okay.
That's what she got like famous off of. Her dad was I don't remember who her dad is, but she was like a famous actress. She's still alive. She's like me and my dad like to make a point of like looking up everyone on the show to see if they're still alive, and thus far she's the only one.
Oh no.
Yeah, Ted Bessel, her like boyfriend throughout the entire show, now her fiance in the last season, dies when his heart explodes in real life.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
it's like the vein leading up to your heart got clotted
Oh no.
and broke into his heart, and it's like instant death.
Damn.
Yeah, but we're watching the show, and like between like they'll reuse characters like 3 episodes after each other.
Okay.
And then like between seasons they'll just completely change who plays a certain character. You know, and
Oh.
they expect you not to notice because back in like the show was shot between 1967 and 1971.
Okay.
All 5 seasons of it. And so like back then you would have watched it weekly for 36 weeks of the year, you know?
Yeah.
And then if like, you know, if between 4 episodes the same character or same actor played 2 different characters, you wouldn't notice because that was a month ago when that happened.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you forgot about it, you know, or between like the seasons when it was literally 3 or 4 months before you last saw that character. If they got an actress that looked kind of like the main character's a neighbor, you'd be like, yeah, sure, that's probably still them because you had no other way of knowing that it wasn't them.
Yeah. Plus, there wasn't an IMDb to just go through.
You can look it up and everything, yeah. And,
Yeah.
But when I'm watching with my dad and I can look it up on the internet, and it's like the last time that I saw the episode 4 episodes ago was yesterday. You know, it's very jarring because I'll be like, hey, wasn't that guy like a sleazeball 4 episodes ago, and now he's trying to give her a movie deal?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. The switch to digital TV. I don't know whatever you'd call this era of TV. It's changed the pacing of shows a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has.
Now that they expect for a show to be watched from season beginning to season end straight, that really changes the way in which writers approach problems and characteristics of a character.
Because by contrast, like The Mandalorian's like just like a long movie.
Do you guys have Disney Plus? Do you guys watch that?
Yeah. So my parents didn't want to buy any more streaming services, which is understandable. They have like
There's
3 of them.
there's so many out there.
Yeah, it's like $15 a month. They have Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime.
That's about all you need.
Yeah. So I bought Disney Plus just because I wanted to watch The Mandalorian. And
Yeah.
I watched through the whole thing, and it's so good.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've heard good things.
It's legitimately a great show. You
Which
should check it out.
surprised me from where Disney Star Wars was going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's really shocking.
The Mandalorian. Interesting.
And he actually, I'm not spoiling. I'm not going to say anything about the show because you should watch it.
Okay.
I will say this, Baby Yoda, I don't care how disinterested you are in Baby Yoda. I went into it completely disinterested in Baby Yoda and just interested in the Star Wars universe. And Baby Yoda is so fucking cute. It's just so I know
in sci-fi.
I know that a marketing team sat down and were like, how do we design the cutest fucking thing that we could put in Star Wars just to make me go, that's so cute. But I watched it and Baby Yoda is so cute. I don't like that type of thing normally, but Baby Yoda was adorable.
Is he a good character? Like
he functions as the MacGuffin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, he also sort of functions as comic relief.
Okay.
Which Star Wars, like even the original trilogy, there was comic relief. You needed comic relief.
Yeah.
You know, it sort of pulled away from the seriousness of the narrative because Star Wars isn't that serious.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Solo. It took itself seriously, but there was still a lot of lighthearted comedy in it.
Yeah, because the problem with a lot of the newer Star Wars movies is a lot of the times it sort of seems like Bill Murray's acting, which I'm not shitting on Bill Murray. Bill Murray's great, right? But it seems like they're constantly being like kind of sarcastic about it, like everything's a joke, you know?
Bill Burr?
No, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. What is What role does he play?
No. I'm saying it's like Bill Murray's acting.
Okay.
Where like Bill Murray's
yeah.
always, with the exception of like Lost in Translation, I'm sure there's a few others,
Mm.
but he always acts like he's sort of like the straight man in the sense that he's disconnected from the narrative.
Yeah.
You know, like he wants you to know that he's acting and that he's going to kind of being like, well, this is all ridiculous,
Yeah.
And that's what sort of like the sequels of Star Wars felt like to me. It's like everything felt like kind of a joke where I couldn't get involved with the universe at all.
The Last Jedi had so many comedic moments that fall utterly flat.
Yeah.
It's like, why are these here? Because the thing is, I can imagine a comedy set in the Star Wars universe. I can imagine that. There's room for comedy, sure, I mean, there was wittiness all throughout the original trilogy.
Yeah, C-3PO is obviously a funny character.
Yeah. Or the young idealistic Luke talking with Han about Leia.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Han knows way better than him how to handle the ladies,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's funny. There's room for comedy in Star Wars, but Rian Johnson,
like
butchered it.
I don't find it funny when the characters are complete fucking morons.
Yeah, like the opening scene of the film where Finn gets up and he's just in a dumb suit full of water and he's just waddling through the space the ship.
Yeah, it's like Luke was funny because Luke was funny not understanding Princess Leia at all, or pretty much women at all in the first movie, but it also made sense with his character because he was like 18, 17.
He grew up alone in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, he was basically like a dumb high school kid, which that fits with the character of a dumb high school kid doesn't know anything about women.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then like when Finn parks his spaceship in a no parking zone at the casino, it's like, yeah, he should have just parked in the parking lot. I don't find that amusing in any way. I just think that Finn's an idiot.
The comedy can't come at the cost of the character motivations making sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's so many decisions made in that film that are so unlike the characters. It just, I don't know. Like, why try to make Finn the comedic relief when in the opening of episode 7, what was it called?
The Force Awakens. Yeah.
That was like intense, dude.
That actually made you like really feel for
that's the first time you've ever felt for a stormtrooper.
Yeah, exactly. And which is weird because he then kills them and has fun.
And has no problem doing it.
Yeah. But it's like,
that's a disconnect. But yeah, when we first come across him, he's a tragic character.
Yeah, and then he's just a laughing stock in the next movie.
He just becomes just this loser simp for Rey.
Yeah.
Travels the galaxy constantly in search of her.
And they bring up that one character to be, I can't even remember her name, to be his love interest in Last Jedi.
Oh God.
Rose?
Well, there was Rose in The Last Jedi. But then I was also thinking of the black chick in Rise of Skywalker.
I don't even remember her. That's how unimportant that character must have been.
There was Xana. Was her name Xana? Maybe
her name was.
There was Zori Bliss, the person all in the red suit with the helmet. There was Zori Bliss, and then I think her name was Xana. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars names are always ridiculous, I guess. To some extent.
They could do better than one consonant and a bunch of verbs after. Like, you could do a bit better in terms of alien names.
But it was just...
Like Babu Frick. That is a fantastic name. I want Babu Frick to be a SoundCloud rapper in space. His first album, Babu Fricked Your Girl. That's going to be fantastic. I love that name.
Oh, fuck. That's actually a great name for a SoundCloud rapper. Okay, you got to remind me who Babu Frick is.
He was the little alien dude who rebooted C-3PO.
Oh, okay. Still not as good a name as Dexter Jetster. Or Dexter Jetster
in his 50s diner.
His 50s robot. Did the 50s happen in Star Wars?
50s happens on Coruscant, yeah.
Like, wait, that implies that they had a 50s. What?
Some of that stuff made no sense. But
I still love the prequels. Maybe it was just because I was a kid when they were coming out. And they were absolutely made for me.
Undeniable heart to them.
Yeah.
There's a real creative image, like creative ideals going on.
Where it kind of felt like with the Disney ones, they like gave somebody the ability to have a creative image, and then like the corporate side was just eventually panicked because that's not marketable.
Yeah,
Let's take it over.
George Lucas was like a creative shotgun. Disney wanted a high precision rifle. So they funnel it all down through a choke and they try to make it as mainstream as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. And George Lucas needed the reason the original trilogy was so good is because George Lucas needed other people.
He was part of a team, and the team together is what created the iconicness of Star Wars.
I feel like it's not even that he needed like a team. He needed like a babysitter.
Yes, he needed someone to rein him in.
He needed somebody to say like, "Hey, George, you can't do that because that's a bad idea." And he'd go, pout and be angry in his room for a little while, but then he'd come back out and he'd be like, "Okay, fine."
But Jar Jar's the key to all this.
But Jar Jar's the key to all. We can get Jar Jar working.
God.
Well,
incredible that Jar Jar is not the worst character in Star Wars. Not the most annoying.
I mean, I feel like for me now, the most annoying character in Star Wars is that woman with the blue hair.
Oh, Admiral Holdo?
Yeah.
God,
she was so... It's just... Tell him your fucking plan.
Literally, you're a general who isn't telling your troops the orders.
Yeah.
You just expect them to know how to get your ideas done.
Yeah, it'd be like if my boss at work like told me what to do, but not what I was doing.
Exactly.
It's not the Manhattan Project. You're trying to escape the Empire, okay?
Yeah.
Let me know what the plan is. Maybe we can brainstorm and come up with a better plan than you killing yourself.
Yeah, clearly Poe can think on his feet. Just look at the opening scene where he takes out all the cannons.
Yeah.
And then she gets mad at him for succeeding.
For
what?
For actually being able to destroy the Empire's offensive capabilities.
For being the one competent pilot in the entire Rebel fleet.
But it
punished for it.
Didn't fit with her plan that she's not going to tell you, which is also a bad plan because it results in her death.
Yeah.
And also the destruction of a very large ship.
Also, where's her astromech droid? Humans generally don't do the calculations for a jump to hyperspace. A droid does. And if you have a droid doing those calculations, you don't need to be on that ship.
It can just do it for you.
Yeah.
Is that why she got in charge? Was she just really, really good at math?
Apparently not, because she can't make 2 and 2 add up.
Just tell people what you're doing. That was so annoying to me the entire movie.
By far the most frustrating of the Star Wars films. As frustrated as I was with the love scenes in Episode 2.
Okay, but
this is a billion times worse.
Those are hilarious.
They're so bad they're funny.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's
George Lucas has a middle schooler who's just read Romeo and Juliet's understanding of love.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny, but it didn't piss me off like Rian Johnson did.
Yeah, Rian Johnson ticked me off. And also I don't like Looper. I don't like Looper purely because the one guy that they torture in the
his name is
Seth. That terrified me. That gave me nightmares.
I liked the film all the way up till the end where it pulled the punch. Not to spoil the ending, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It pulled the punch where it didn't have to, and I feel like it would have been a better movie if it didn't.
It made sense though.
It made sense.
Yeah.
The film Looper is good. It's well produced, well made. The acting's good. The setting is really well set up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very well set up.
It's just Rian Johnson himself. I don't know. He's so pretentious.
Yeah, Rian Johnson's full of himself.
There's a reason he only got 2 films out before he was picked to do a Star Wars trilogy. Can Kathleen Kennedy just be fired already?
Yeah, she clearly fucked it up.
How many times does she have to screw with directors for them to leave projects and just leave a mess after? Every time. Not a single one of the trilogy was good. The Force Awakens was the best one because it was okay. It was the best because was copying New Hope.
Yeah, it was just A New Hope, but you threw some other characters in there, and they're kind of corny.
Hey, I mean, I'll give it to the sequel trilogies. They all look beautiful. Visually, they're well done.
The people who worked on them did an amazing job. But see,
Dude,
that's like also like a problem with video games too. Is like oftentimes developers focus on how good the game looks and not how good the game plays.
Yeah, how good it feels to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these movies were pretty to look at, a pain in my brain to comprehend.
Yeah, it's like if you put any of those, okay, with the exception of the first movie, if you put Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, it made it into a novel, it'd be a boring novel.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible. You know, it's like you need to write a script that you enjoy reading.
It would also take place over like 5 days. Did you realize that? The sequel trilogy takes place over like a week.
Well, not The Force Awakens, right?
Yeah, Force Awakens takes place over like 2 days, 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Last Jedi takes place over like, what, 2 days, 1 day?
Yeah, again, another 2 or 3 days.
And then The Rise of Skywalker's, again, like
another
2 or 3 days.
It's 1 week.
Yeah, it's a week. What?
Because Rey goes from desert girl who knows literally nothing about the Force to defeating Palpatine in about 7 days.
Because, like, in the... that's a weird thing.
That makes sense.
Chronologically, according to, like, you know, in the Star Wars universe chronologically, it's like each of the trilogies gets shorter then because the prequels are like the entire, like 20 years, like the entire adolescence of Anakin.
Yeah.
And then you get to the original, which is like, you know, that's probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, that seems like a reasonable timeline. And then you have a week.
You go from 4 or 5 years to 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
All that character development happens in 5 days.
Wait, so Finn goes through 3 love interests in a week?
Yeah.
Man, I guess they don't have...
It makes no sense.
I guess that stormtroopers there aren't female ones because you must have just never seen a woman before.
Oh well, yeah. There was
Captain Phasma, who also was like a really cool looking character that they kill off in the first.
What a waste of an actor like Gwendolyn Christie. What a waste.
You could have done cool things with that character.
Bro, while she was Captain Phasma, she was also God, I'm blanking on her name in Game of Thrones, but she was incredible in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And then she has like 2 lines in the sequels, and then they kill off the coolest looking stormtrooper I've ever seen.
She has a total screen time of like 1:40.
Yeah.
What a waste.
Yeah.
Why get someone with such talent to do nothing? Well, I guess that's the Star Wars.
That's a sequel trilogy for you. That's the whole idea of the sequel trilogy, yeah.
All this talent to make crap.
Or just a lot of setup to do nothing with the setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. But anyways, folks, I don't know where the time went. We're about 2 hours, 30 minutes in.
Wow, this is one of our longer podcasts.
Longer one, but I think one of the better ones. It was good.
I think it went really good. Yeah, we were kind of in a flow state that whole time.
From having nothing to talk about when I arrived to this, I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely. We just sort of ad-libbed it. But yeah, I guess we're signing off.
All right, folks, until the next one, stay safe out there.
Yeah.